does it drive around town on a tricycle screaming to the sounds, rolling, rolling, rolling?
Well, wait a minute. Maybe not to rolling. But I wouldn't rule that tricycle part out, because you just should not drive while you're intoxicated. And a tricycle seems like the safe bet to me.
I know we're going to get a phone call now.
The other question was, I was wondering, will Rhino get a singles title soon?
That is very possible.
I would say watch SmackDown.
Sources say maybe.
Yes, watch. I would say you'd have to watch SmackDown.
Well, can you guys give a hint what the title would be?
Well, I'll tell you what. If you really want to know, you have to call the Wrestling Guys hotline at 285-0991. Shawn has it on there. And because I promised I wouldn't spoil any of the SmackDown stuff on the show.
I'll tell you what. I will guarantee that he'll have a title by the end of this year. How's that for you?
Okay, that's good.
I'll know that too, but at least one wrestler has to always have a title. They give a test the European, so.
Well, all I can say is watch SmackDown, and I think you.
SmackDown?
Yep, I think you'll know what your answer is then.
Are you knocking on Test?
Huh? Yeah. Test is one of my favorite wrestlers.
Okay, good.
Just my other question is, like, with Triple H, is he going to lose the IC title again to, like, Crash Holly or something?
I don't think so. I think they really wanted to just try to build up the Hardys and make it that Austin and Triple H were not, invincible, and try to elevate some people up into the main event status. Now, the one thing, Joe, you said that you didn't want to see, the Hardys versus
Austin
and Triple H, but I'm really, trying to figure out why they would even have that Jeff Hardy would win, and then basically drop it after that.
Yeah, true. But like Monday night made no sense. Like I thought the Undertaker and Kane was going to go against like RTC or something, and somehow they just come out and help the Hardys in them. It's confusing. Well,
yeah.
I'll let you guys go.
Okay. That's okay. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
All right. We are still taking your phone calls at 457-1065. Couple of the things I want to talk about, too. WCW, it looks like they're going into full effect with Jim Ross basically down in Atlanta. And who would you like to see WCW pick up? Do you have anyone that you would like to actually, the WWF, WCW pick up?
That's a tough question. I mean, because if you look, I want to see guys working again. I want to see guys like Taz working again.
Right.
I don't know what the hell Raven's problem is, to be honest with you, but I would like to see him put back in an environment where he can thrive, because he was enjoyable to watch in ECW.
Well, I don't think they want to do. I don't think they want to do a lot with Taz right now. Just due to the fact that he's got Tough Enough, and I don't think they want to give him a lot because his time is going to be taken away from the WWF to do that show. And actually, that's supposed to start in June now. So they're already filming it right now, as we speak. So should be.
As far as wrestlers who aren't working right now, I mean, there are guys that I was enjoying immensely, like Jeff Jarrett. Ever since he dropped the Double J country music singer, I've enjoyed his character. So I mean, guys like that, I like the Jarretts and some of the younger guys that WCW had. They need to be working.
Well, that sound means that we can't be working right now because we have to go to our break. And when we come back, we'll go back to more of your phone calls. You're listening to the Wrestling Guys
on Buckeye Country 106.5. Hello, I'm Craig Harper, Chief Scott.
And you're listening to Caucasian Heat with Willie F. and Cam the Man Collins. It is.
Yes,
you don't feel the Caucasian heat?
Excuse me.
Well,
do I get any billing here?
I'm sorry. And good old JT. On the Wrestling Guys on Buckeye Country 106.5, and you're actually we're taking your phone calls. It's a phone call friendly evening.
Let's just call it what it is.
What is it?
Reach out and touch the Wrestling Guys.
That's right, at 457-1065. And let's go to line 6. We have Andy from Kettering. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
No, this is Tim.
I'm sorry.
Tim, how are you?
You have 2 line 6s.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, my bad.
Tim, what's going on?
Oh, not much. I got a couple questions. Number
Absolutely.
one, are they going to bring Sting back when WCW comes back?
I have heard that Sting and actually, this is something else that Mean Gene commented on. Sting, he invested his money very wisely, and he has absolutely, positively no reason to come back into wrestling. A lot of people know, well, if you don't know, he's a born-again Christian, and he doesn't feel that he needs to do it anymore. He's got, wife and kids, and he basically thinks he's done. He's done everything that he wanted to do.
But when you think about Sting, he's one of the few guys, he's stuck with WCW his whole career. So you'll have those fans who say he started, he got his break there, basically. He wrestled before there, obviously, but he made his name in WCW. He stuck with the company through thick and thin, and they would like to see him retire with WCW. On the other hand, you have people who are going to ask the question, what would Sting have done in the WWF? And really,
I think he would have got lost in the shuffle.
In terms of having something to accomplish, that's about the only thing he would have to accomplish.
Yeah.
Is in the WWF, and is that motivation for him. I think the last couple of years of WCW killed a lot of guys' motivation to be involved in this business.
Yeah, and Sting was one of them.
I would like to see Sting go after Austin. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that happen. I had heard sometime last week that Sting had come out and said there's no reason for me to come back. He's another one of the guys that is under a Time Warner AOL contract, and he can just sit out and ride that thing out and spend time with his family.
All right. My second question: when I was living down in Florida, I heard Hulk Hogan talking all the time on this radio station.
Must have been Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah, he was always talking every morning.
Yeah.
And they was talking about Hulk Hogan getting a wrestling going on Fox. Was that true, or was that just all talk?
Well, let's think of, we've commented on that a lot of times. Think about a lot of the other things that Hulk Hogan said when he was on Bubba the Love Sponge that he was going to do. He was going to show up at Starrcade. That didn't happen. He was going to become the bass player for Metallica. That didn't happen. A lot of times, Hogan used Bubba the Love Sponge just basically to work the crowd,
right.
And I think that's
just
what
to
he was
get his
doing
name out. And I think if you think back over the last couple of years, the rumors about Hulk Hogan going off and doing his own thing and starting his own federation probably dates back a couple of years now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, easily. Really, since he joined the NWO and that started dying out, and those rumors kicked up almost immediately.
I don't know what Hulk Hogan would do, is going to do. That's another guy that he really doesn't need the money.
Really,
anymore.
Really,
no, obviously.
Who would work for him?
Well, I don't know.
Look at his track, his booking record track there.
Well, yeah.
And he's developed a reputation in the locker room that a lot of guys, let's just be honest, a lot of guys don't like him based on what they've heard.
But I also think that he could go into a Fox Sports and just knowing that it's Hulk Hogan and the name recognition that goes with that, he's got a lot of clout, and somebody may listen to him and throw him some money that way. He can just take a whole bunch of of independent guys with him and start a federation that way. I just don't think that he would want to invest his personal money into starting something up, and it would take a lot of money to start something up with him attached to it.
Right.
Okay. Because I just thought that's what every morning he was on there when I was down in Florida. I was down in Florida for about 4 months, and all he talked about at first, it was just starting at wrestling in like 2002, he said.
Yeah, but just think about how many other things he said on there that didn't come true.
That's true.
So, that's just Hulk Hogan, I think, for you.
Is Road Dogg coming back anytime soon, or?
For $14,000.
Yeah, you can go on eBay and get him.
on wrestling.
It's possible. Now, Road Dogg did come out and say that he wants to clean up his act and he wants to talk to Jim Ross and,
work for the WCW?
Yeah, and go work for WCW. Whether WCW would have him or not, that's yet to be seen.
All right.
Tim, thanks for calling.
Thanks, Tim.
We're talking about Sting, and kind of a thought that popped in my head. Really, look at all the major talent in the wrestling pool today, and think how many wrestlers has been in the business, say, more than 2 or 3 years? Because we know that, Goldberg or Kurt's not been in it very long. So if you look who's been in it at least 3 or 4 years, who has not jumped ship and been into both major federations? Who has only stayed in WWF and who has only stayed in WCW? There's not that many.
No, there's not that many.
You got Sting and DDP and WCW is the only two I can think of.
And Undertaker has been with the WWF for
10 years.
For a while,
yes,
but he was still Mean Mark Callis in WCW.
Right. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, Sting, I don't think anybody built the tenure with one organization that Sting did. Not even Ric Flair.
No.
Not even Arn Anderson, not Tully Blanchard.
All of them have gone
who
over to someplace else.
With NWA/WCW.
Road Warriors
time in WWF.
I would have to say that Sting is about the only one out of all of them.
The Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh, the
had
Brooklyn
a
one,
lot of time with the WWF. So.
Oh, gosh. I just have bad imagery in my head now.
Hey, I would rather see Hunter job again to the Brooklyn Brawler to see him lose that strap again to Jeff Hardy. I will publicly say that.
Are you kidding me? You don't think that was a nice pop?
Yes.
And
I'm gonna tell you why I think they're elevating the Hardys wrong.
Okay.
Traditionally, when you elevate a person to the quote-unquote next level, you never traditionally elevate the whole tag team because you can't elevate a tag team to a one-title bracket.
Well,
you usually break up the tag team. One goes heel, one goes face. They feud, and usually
one goes up, one goes down.
And usually
Marty Jannetty.
Marty Jannetty.
And usually it's the heel that goes up.
Yeah.
Traditionally, that's how it's done.
They've been talking about breaking up the Hardys for a long time anyway, so maybe what we saw was just the start of it.
And I think it's obvious when you look, like Joe said, I mean, it was obvious in the Rockers that Shawn Michaels had the flair.
Yeah.
He had the charisma. You could tell he was going somewhere. Back in the days of the Rock and Roll Express, you could tell Ricky Morton fit that bill.
Yeah.
So anytime those tag teams have split up, one goes up, one goes down, that's why. And in this situation, I think you see Jeff Hardy really has what it takes more so than Matt. In my opinion, people pop for Jeff. He's got the bigger spots, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Well, see, that's why exactly if they wanted to elevate, Matt Hardy, they keep him with Lita.
Exactly.
That's one of the reasons that they had them be romantically involved anyway. To have that Lita rub off onto onto Matt.
Yeah,
in more ways
real
than
well
one.
for S.A. Rio.
True, very true. But I don't know if it would make sense them breaking up or not. We'll see it at some point.
The Hardys.
No, we have
the Hardys. We have stuck with the Dudleys and Edge and Christian every pay-per-view. At least you throw in the Hardys in there, and you get 3 teams you can.
Well, then they would just bring in another tag team and elevate them up.
We have seen in the past one Jeff versus Matt match. We've seen it once, and I believe it was on a SmackDown.
Yeah, because
it was a heck of a match.
It was.
And neither one has to be a face or a heel to go against each other. They can still wrestle against each other.
They can be a tweener.
Exactly.
Speaking of tweeners, let's go back to the phone lines. And we have Andy from Kettering on line 5. Andy, you're on the Wrestling Guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. I just got 2 things real quick.
Okay.
I was wondering, first off, is Shawn's baby going to be a boy or a girl?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
I'm trying to figure out if Shawn... I don't think Shawn's ever said.
Right now they're picking out the name Gold Dust because they don't know.
So that's it. Baby's Gold Dust. What else you got, Andy?
I was also wondering, I got a subscription to the WCW magazine.
Yeah? Are you getting your money back?
You should have got your money back after the first issue.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is going to happen to that?
I saw one on the newsstand, so I honestly, I don't know.
It's going to still go, I think.
Honestly, it might get better.
Well, the website's still up, isn't it?
The website's still up, WCW.com.
I don't know about you. I probably looked at the WCW magazine a couple of times since it's been out. And the only reason I've only looked a couple of times is because that was bad. It was a little hard to swallow.
Train wreck bad?
I'm about the only person, I think, in this group that never picks up any of those magazines and reads them.
I don't.
You don't?
I do for nostalgia.
I don't pick up any of those
because
magazines.
I had hundreds, literally, of PWI, Inside Wrestling, The Wrestler, growing up, the Apter magazines.
Right.
And you look and compare what they're putting out now as to what they put out then, and it is a completely different magazine. It really is.
Definitely. Andy, what else you got?
I got that PWI Almanac this week, and it's really good.
That's a great book.
That's the only thing I think.
That's the only thing I pick up.
Buy throughout the year. I pick up the Almanac.
That's the only thing I will buy as far as those magazines go.
Yeah, just so I can make sure that each year they still print Tommy Rich's name as a former NWA champion.
That's right.
To make sure, that my childhood hero still gets his props for 4 days, which I have on tape. Thank you very much.
That's great.
No life.
No life. Andy, thanks for calling. Let's go to line 8. We have Kid Chuck. Oh, go ahead.
Real fast, for Kid Chuck. Hold on just a second there, kid. I just got to say, Cam, you were touching on the magazines for a second. One thing, the biggest problem with the magazines is that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you're looking at a WWF magazine and they're hyping up hey, WrestleMania 2 or WrestleMania 3, it was an actual, you didn't have the behind the scenes like you do now. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have the wrestling guys. The WWF and the WCW magazines cater still to those fans like it was 10, 15 years ago. Like the gimmicks are
to a point, WWF, I know.
To a lesser extent now. I mean, they're getting more behind the scenes. Yeah. I'm surprised to read some of the things that come out of their website.
That's actually very true.
Their website, but their magazine is still very, keeps it very storyline and doesn't really let into the knowledge of what we would know.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I don't even bother reading.
Exactly.
So, now let's go to line 8. Line 8, Kid Chuck, you're on the Wrestling Guys.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
Okay, first of all, before I get into anything else, you were talking about Christian Wrestling Federation earlier.
Yeah.
There's actually an East Coast-based independent called the Christian Wrestling Alliance.
That's what it was.
It still runs,
Yeah. And now, do you know anything about them? I mean,
no.
Okay.
All right, now who's got the finishing maneuver called the Bible Thumper? That's what I want to know. I want to see that.
The baptism.
I would hate to see that one.
Actually, one of the top.
Actually, when they juice, wine comes out.
Oh.
Actually, one of their world champion, the guy that was world champion for a long time. The only reason I know the federation is because he was one of the top wrestlers on the independent circuit, and his name is Born Again Brawler.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Born Again Brawler.
I wonder if the Headbangers will go over and relive their Flying Nuns gimmick.
I doubt it.
That's where you're going to see Boss Man again coming back as, what was he, the Guardian Angel?
The Guardian Angel.
There you go.
No, I don't think you'll see that.
Cam with the late-breaking story.
Thank you, Cam.
You heard it here first.
Hey, what's the holdup with Jerry Lynn and Yoshida Jerry?
Jerry Lynn is doing dark matches right now.
Getting good pops.
Yeah, he's getting good response. I think they're just waiting. He's going to be on real soon. I think they're just waiting to figure out what exactly they're going to do with him. Tajiri, I've heard nothing about. I mean, he hasn't got dark matches or anything.
If you watch Raw since Heyman's taken over commentary, maybe it's just me, or it seems like a lot of the show now focuses on the ECW stars that just came in. A lot of the WWF stars.
That's because,
a lot of the WWF stars who were already there, who are waiting for a gimmick or something to do or some kind of storyline, they're not using. It's turning into ECW.
Well, I think that's the problem with having that, that much talent and that many wrestlers on their show. And I think that's when WCW does start back up again on June 9th, you're going to start seeing a lot more. A lot of those guys go down to WCW because, essentially WCW is not going to have that many people, that are going to be maintained. So I think you're going to see a lot of WWF guys go down there.
Okay, you remember a couple of months ago when they talked about they're signing the developmental deal they signed with Christian York and Joey Matthews?
Yes.
And they said they were going to go to Memphis then, and there was a bit of a problem with the developmental deal. Well, I read that their deal was back and going, and they're ready to start developing for the WWF. But do you think they'll send them to OVW now? They're trying to get rid of Memphis because, those two guys, I think they should go straight to WWF.
Well, they haven't got rid of Memphis yet, and I'm actually very surprised that Memphis is still hanging on with, particularly with some of the stuff that Jerry Lawler has been coming out lately and saying.
Right.
I don't know. OVW, I haven't heard anything, and I've got a pretty good tap into OVW, so I haven't heard, anything about them coming in.
Cause personally, I think they should go right to WWF television. I mean, I think they're as talented as any of the tag teams that they've had, except for Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, and the Hardys.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen, and the reason why is because there is a pecking order, and the business does still have a lot of I guess the way the guys come in is you have to pay your dues, and they have to pay their dues, and they have to get on dark matches, and they have to basically job out to to guys on the show, and
how many dark matches have we seen with the Dubs so far?
Right.
Yeah, not only
you have to remember, like a guy like Kurt Angle was down at OVW for a year before they brought him up.
Yeah, I mean they even put Regal in Memphis for a few months.
Yeah. Exactly, just to see what he could do.
That's a guy who's been paying his dues for years.
Exactly.
You also look at the way Vince McMahon does things a little bit differently than even the pecking order, because you look at guys like Val Venus and Test. What Vince got in that pattern of doing, and everybody picked up on, was he'll give you a push, he'll give you a title, but then he's going to knock you down a couple of pegs and bury you on the card. And if you can come out of that, hey, you're a superstar. If not, well, then you're Test and Val Venus.
Right.
And you're just basically nowhere.
It's just basically if something catches on, or if it doesn't. You look at the Dudleys. I mean, I had a conversation for so many times having to defend the WWF, what they were doing with the Dudleys, and everyone going, I can't believe they're jobbing the Dudleys out. Oh, look, the Dudleys lost again. What are they doing to the Dudleys? And you have to remember that these guys have to get comfortable with the way the WWF does things. And one of the reasons, too, you have to understand, a lot of wrestlers, they don't like to job. They don't like to lose. And, I think it's a thing of like, well, let me see what kind of attitude this guy has, and will they do anything for the company? And so they're going to let them lose for a lot of times until, they can see what kind of, if they're going to start, basically griping backstage, or if they're going to go along with the program.
And you got the nuances of working in front of that large of a crowd.
Yeah.
Most of these guys that come in have not been in front of 10,000 people.
Right.
Even the ECW guys, the most that they were in front of was maybe 5,000.
Yeah, I think it was about 5.
Probably, and that was probably Hare Arena, and guys were probably nervous getting out in front of that big a crowd. So there's that. You have to play the crowd. You have to know certain things to do to get the crowd to pop, like Willie was saying. And some of these guys, you have to break them in slowly, or it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, most definitely.
I guess what I was hoping is that their careers mimic the Hardys so much, going through the Carolina Pendants and the Super 8s and that stuff. I guess I'm hoping they don't toil in the developmental, because were the Hardys on developmental contract before they got on TV for over 2 years with the WWF?
Yeah, they were, and actually they, and I'm not going to spoil it because I'm going to wait for the guy from WrestleCrap when he comes on, but Hardys were actually in the WWF before they were the Hardys.
All right, and one more, is Easy Money, is he one of the guys that the WWF's bringing over to WCW when they start back up?
There's been no official statement on who is going to go. I mean, we've heard that Test is going to go down to WCW. Billy Gunn was another one that was thrown out that he might go down to WCW. There's been no official statement yet. In fact, I guess sometime this week, supposedly Jim Ross is going to come out and say who exactly is going to be in WCW.
All right, that's all I have for you guys.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right, and let's go to line 1. Bud Rowe, you're on the Wrestling Guys.
Yes, it is
I bet it's break time again.
It must be time for a break.
It's time
That
for a
guy
break.
has amazing timing.
That's bad timing on his part. Call us up at 457-1065, and you're listening to the Wrestling Guys.
On Buckeye Country.
You're right here on Buckeye Country 106.5. Taking your phone calls at 457-1065, and lines have been loaded, though, pretty much all night, which is great.
I got to say real fast before we get to our celebrity hotline.
Yes.
I love just that little 15-second promo that Test, Billy Gunn, and Raven did on Monday night.
How can you like anything that Billy Gunn does?
I'm sorry, but I thought it was funny. Raven just went on this one of his usual tangents. And then you have, of course, the two dumb blondes looking at each
Billy
other.
Gunn. Do you know this show likes to bash Billy Gunn?
Yes, I know that.
Okay.
But
it's not just his fault. We're anti-Billy Gunn.
We are all for
I'm
gun
just saying.
control law. Okay.
Hey, that's actually a good gimmick for him.
It is. Actually, let's go to the celebrity hotline, and on line 1 we have Ray Steele. How you doing?
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on with you? A couple exciting days for you.
Very, very much so.
Go ahead and go into it. We haven't talked about it. I've left it up to you.
Are we on now?
Yeah, we're on now.
I wrestled K quick on Jacked.
Yeah.
At the last minute, they kind of put together. We went right on before Raw, and it was a lot of fun.
And that's gonna be on Jack. So check your local listings this weekend for that, and then.
Correct. We wrestled K quick, and the next night we did me and Nick Dinsmore and Doug Basham, a couple of developmental guys from WCW, did an angle with Kurt Angle on the last segment of SmackDown.
And basically, now that happened because of everyone really liked your performance on the Jack tapings.
I believe so, or I hope that's what they did. Either way, it was a great experience, and it was a lot of fun, and got stretched by Angle in there a couple times.
Yeah. You must be on like cloud nine, because I know this isn't the first time that you've gone. The WWF has asked you to be there. In fact, I heard that you were actually about ready to go out and wrestled Nova. Now, is this true?
Actually, I was that was in Cleveland, I believe.
Right.
And they told me they had me paired up with a guy. I can't remember the guy's name. He was an independent guy from Cleveland, and they had me paired up with him to wrestle a dark match.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were set to go out, and the tapings of some segments earlier on in the night didn't go right, so they had to keep redoing them, and they needed something happened with the cameras to the fact. Anyway, it ended up getting nixed, and they told us they needed that guy who was a police officer. So they saw Nova, and they said, "Hey, why don't you two guys get a match, work together, and we'll put you on right after the Jack taping." And we're like, "Okay, great." So we're planning on going out. We're about 30 seconds out, and then they say, "No, we need the cameras in." So it just didn't end up happening due to whatever technical difficulties they were having.
Did you just think it's like, am I ever going to get a shot on this, or were you just thinking, well, my time's going to come?
Oh, I think you gotta wait and be patient. I've been being patient for a couple of years now.
Yeah, most definitely.
That's what it's all about, just being patient. Hopefully your time will come, and my time was coming to actually go out there and perform, but now you're just going to keep doing it more and more and hopefully get a job. And now they have asked you back, too. You got a lot of dates lined up for you. Yes, I do. I'll be in Denver, which is this coming Monday and Tuesday, and then I'll be headed to Chicago, and then Milwaukee and Indianapolis the following Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then Cincinnati and Louisville, which would be 2 weeks after that. And that's great. I mean, one thing I want to go into with you, Race, is, I don't know of anyone that I've ever met that has been more dedicated to wrestling than you have. Can you just go through a typical day? What's a typical day with Ray Steele like? A typical day? Well, as far as, I know that you're working out all the time. You're watching what you're eating. You are always at the gym training, down at HWA. Correct. You have basically, put your life into this, and now you're showing, basically you're showing you're reaping. You're what you sowed. I think if you're going to do something, you either got to do it to your all or don't do it at all. Right. This is not. There's so many independent workers out there. Absolutely. There are so many guys trying to do this, and there's so few spots. Yeah. And no matter how no matter how fake people think this is or not real or whatever you want to put it is hard work. It hurts. It's timing. It takes practice, and to go in there with a half-assed attitude, you're never going to make it. So if you're happy doing this as a hobby or making $25 at this level, and that's all you want to do and work another job, then great. But that's not what I want to do. I want to make it in the WWF. I've watched it. I've been a fan since I was a kid. It was all worth it, man. I mean, it was a great time out there.
Now, Race, we had a caller previously who was kind of asking why guys don't just come right in and get on TV. You're a perfect example of a point I made, and that was that you take a guy out of an environment where he's performing in front of a couple of hundred people, and then you throw him out where they're performing in front of 5, 10, 15,000 people and a national television audience. Give us your perspective on that experience and how different that is of a setting.
Well, the thing is in front of a couple hundred people, you're allowed to make a mistake. Right. You've got, I venture to say it, I'll say close to millions of dollars or thousands and thousands or even millions of dollars of production value time that you're using of theirs. Not only have those people paid $35, $45 a seat, but you got 10 or 15,000 people paying that kind of money.
Right.
You've got camera. If you're on doing cameras, you've got the production costume. It's everything. You've got to be ready to do it, and you've got to be on. You got to do it the timing and do whatever it is they ask you to do. And if you're doing a job, you're doing the job. You do that job the best you can.
Exactly.
And it's just you got to be ready when the time comes, I guess.
Can you now talk about your background a little bit, because this isn't like your first forte, and I mean you were also semi-pro football, correct?
No, I played just college.
College football, okay.
Correct.
And you were a shoot fighter.
Correct. Yeah, college was just football was football. You know, it's a lot different because you had to share that field with 11 teammates or 10 teammates and another team of 11. So the spotlight isn't necessarily as much as on you.
Right.
The shoot fighting was what I believe really good. As far as my nerves went, shoot fighting took care of that because I fought in front of 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 fans, and no holds barred fights and tournaments. So after I did that, I think you pretty much can deal with anything. But the spotlight is on you when you're out there, and you've got you and the other person you're wrestling in that ring with to do it. And it was a great time and a great experience.
And you get to go back and do more, though. You don't know exactly what you're going to do yet, but
yeah, you just whatever they ask you to do, you do it.
Exactly.
What did that caller say to you? Did you say?
Really, they were asking a question. He's got some guys at the independent level that he thinks are ready for WWF television, and they're under some developmental deals. I think Christian York was one,
right?
And Joey Matthews.
Right?
And he said in his opinion, these guys should be elevated to TV at the level of the Hardys.
Correct. Those two guys are two great talents. Both those guys I know who you're speaking of are both, York and Matthews, are both very good. They're very talented. But let me just use a quick example. Triple H, about 5 years ago, I watched do a job
You're going to talk about Godwin?
Warrior.
Oh, okay, Ultimate Warrior.
In about 25 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Everyone starts at the bottom.
Right.
Kurt Angle has been on doing dark matches for a year and a half.
Yeah,
we just talked about that, yeah.
And is just now this past year and a half broken out. And he didn't start at the top. He worked his way up through the card, and he's got every belt. But man, it takes time. You don't just give some. You got to earn that kind of job. You got to earn that kind of trust. You got to earn that kind of everything. And really, the ultimate decision is the WWF's. Obviously, they're not holding people back. If they think those guys can make their money, they're not going to hold anyone back.
Right.
Let me get your perspective on this, because I read an interview online Kurt Angle did, and I think it was on Bite This, and he commented that a lot of guys feel that he didn't actually put in the time that they had. There was, I guess, some sort of resentment because he rose through the ranks so quickly, but he maintains that he still works hard and he just kind of works through that. I mean, you're backstage at WWF and these different events. Do you kind of see certain guys who are, basically he has it. He has what they're looking for, and he handles the pressure. But I mean, do the guys really hold the resentment like that for someone who is doing such a good job?
First and foremost, let me just make one quick point.
Okay.
And this may sound really bad, but Kurt Angle is an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely.
Now, how many guys can go up there and say that? Okay. Now, Kurt Angle worked the independence. See, don't people understand? Kurt Angle has been wrestling independence. He was down in Memphis for years.
Yes.
He did not just walk through this. He's not some greenhorn off the street.
Right. And when did he pull that first little spot on Raw or something? It's been a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then he drops off the face of the WWF.
They pulled him out of the crowd.
Right.
Correct. But they just wanted to give him a taste of that crowd a little bit, But man, let me tell you, what I experienced up there was great. All the guys were super friendly. Everyone was very nice. Everyone was very helpful, compliment, really willing to help what they thought you did good, what they thought you did bad, not just with me, with everybody. And it was a great time. That's why they're the best show and the top show in the world right now.
Right, absolutely.
When I did WCW, it was about, I guess, 6-7 months ago, it was kind of an opposite. It was very uncomfortable down there. It was not very friendly. Some of the guys are cool, and then a lot of the guys are nice, but then there was a handful of them that really made it kind of hard to be there.
And you're still waiting for an envelope from them, too. Sorry, didn't mean to bring that up. Don't kill me now.
But, it was a great time, and Kurt Angle was a class act. Working with him, he was a super great guy. He was very friendly, very funny, very personable, and he works his butt off, man. And he's an Olympic gold medalist.
Right.
And he doesn't, the gimmick in the show he puts on is, hey, I'm the world gold medalist. But is the person Kurt Angle isn't like that.
Right. It's just an extension. It's like him turned up to 11 or 12.
I'm exaggerating, but he was a great guy. He was fun to work with, and he works his butt off out there. And he looks good. I mean, shoot, look at him.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Talk about how many hours, because I know there's, as you said, there's a lot of independents around. Talk about how many hours a week that you put into the gym and also into the training and everything else.
I would have been, I'd say I probably put the same amount as the hardworking guys in WWF. I get up in the morning, I do the gym weight room, I work, hit the weights, I do the treadmill or run and do cardio. I come in here and I train at the wrestling school, probably, depending on how many, that kind of depends on how many shows I have. If I work a couple shows during the week, so my practices are kind of a little bit less.
Sure.
And I come in here a lot of time on my own time and grab a couple guys just to work on new things kind of by myself, because it's kind of hard with the Clash to get the alone time in the ring.
Right.
I couldn't say venture all day long. It's an all-day-long process. That and tanning beds and eating and the cooking, all the chicken, the food, and everything else. And it's an everyday thing. You got to really live this to do this. And they all live it too. I mean, it's not just me working my hard. That's what all those guys up there do.
Right.
They all carry their protein supplements. They all eat the good, healthy chicken. They all go find a weight room sometime that morning before they have to be at Raw or SmackDown or whatever it is they're doing. They all go find the tanning beds. I mean, it's not. That's what has to be done.
I understand. Now, I do want to ask. Now, I know you have a match coming up with Chris Benoit on May 11th. Now, were you able to see him backstage and kind of get hey, I'm gonna take you on May 11th?
Yes. I've talked to him a couple times, beforehand, and he's a great guy. He takes his business seriously. I don't know probably anyone who takes it any more seriously than him.
What's amazing about Benoit, we had the opportunity to kind of see him after WCW pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It was here in Dayton. And you just walk by and you go, oh, hi, Mr. Benoit. Because I'm a huge Benoit mark.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they should probably charge me double for getting into
He's
one of
just
his
a
shows.
huge mark, period.
But he has that look of intensity wherever he goes.
Oh, always.
It's like you just kind of step out of his way and go, maybe I shouldn't have just said hi. Maybe I shouldn't look at him, because the guy is just walking intensity.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And he takes his business seriously, and he's, I saw him in the weight room in Cleveland and Detroit both times. We ran into him, and he works out just as hard as in the weight room as he does in the ring. I mean, he's an intense individual and a great, incredible technical wrestler, and I think they finally got him a great character too.
And I think it's a golden opportunity for you too. I mean, on that show. I mean,
the great thing is we're going to have some time to actually work on that.
Yes, exactly.
It's going to be a good, long, solid match, which is what I'm happy about. Not a TV time. There's no restraint. It's just whatever he says goes, and he's an incredible person to get to do it with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in fact, he watched and was with me when I did my match against K-Quick. Just because him and Les are friends, and he wanted to see me work. He'd never really seen me work before, other than that. So, just to kind of get an idea on how I had to do, and he seemed pleased, or he said so anyhow.
I think you guys are going to have a great match at Grand Vic on May 11th.
I'm very excited. I mean, I couldn't ask for it. If nothing, I thought was the worst thing that ever came. The best thing. If that was the best thing that I ever did in my career, man, then that's a great highlight, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely. Well, Race, I know that and I honestly, do mean this. I don't think that anyone deserves it as much as you. I've never seen anyone as dedicated to anything in my life as much as you are, to this. I mean, just your perseverance and everything, and just the way that you are.
Thanks a lot. I mean, it's great. Yeah, I love hearing that. But to be honest with you, it's not really a hindrance to me. It's what I want to do.
Oh, absolutely. And you can tell that. And I think
you want to do this, and that's for anyone out there. If you want to do it, man, you just got to do it hard. We're doing it all, or don't do it at all.
Absolutely.
And if everyone hasn't realized now, there's only one company left in this country to work for.
That's right. Yeah, most definitely.
WCW is now WWF, and is one now. So the McMahons are the bosses, and there's only one place to work now. So and then that's also opening a lot of spots now too. Getting rid of WCW, I think, would have been a terrible thing if they would have went down under, because that would leave a whole lot of people who are workless.
Right.
And that's the thing. WCW is basically going to be a nice little ground for the WWF to bring guys in.
And maybe possibly build some competition.
Absolutely.
It could develop a cult following if done right, just like ECW.
Yeah, I agree.
Except this would be all over the country. ECW is, of course, kind of trapped over there on the east, over there in the Philadelphia, where they started, of course, and back east. For those who don't know, they were really located just generally back there. They broke west of Texas a couple times, but Vince and them have the money. They can put WCW across the country, and if they can develop a cult following, it's great.
Yeah. I agree with you.
If there's anyone in the world who can do it, the McMahons can.
I agree with you 100%, Race.
You know, and it's a great opportunity for a lot of guys. And then that York and Matthews, I don't know who knows what's going on with them guys, but they're great talents, but that'll be a place for them guys to really go out there and shine. And
Sure.
some of the WCW guys that were thrown out a little soon, I think, maybe can refurbish their the technique and style and work and everything else, and hopefully you can get better as well.
Here's hoping. Well, and of course, Race, we'll be following, what you do over the next coming weeks too. Definitely keep in touch. And best of luck to you. I mean, no one deserves it, I don't think, as much as you do.
Well, thank you very much, and hopefully it'll all work out. But either way, if I'm having a great time, well, it's happening now.
Absolutely. All right, thanks a lot, Race.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
Later.
Ray Steele, heavyweight champion of HWA. Of course, as I said, you can see him in action against that guy, Chris Benoit. And that's coming up on May 11th at the Grand Victoria Casino. And we'll be back with more of your phone calls after this. You are listening to The Wrestling Guys
on Buckeye Country 106.5.
Go ahead, Willie.
Hi. This is Willie F. on the Wrestling Guys radio show, along with Cam the Man Collins, who's sitting in for the baby-watching Shawn Stidham, and also good old JT on the other side. And we are taking your phone calls right up until the 9 o'clock hour at 457-106. I did it!
You said it.
I went all this way. 457.
You needed an hour and 44 minutes.
Yeah. 457-1065. Call up.
Of course, they can call 24 hours a day to the
Wrestling Guys hotline at that is area code 937-285-0991. A free call. Well, if you're
within the local
if you're in that 937.
Only long distance charges may apply.
That's right. That's right. And of course, we'll have
a lot of things that we can't cover here. Call the hotline.
That's right, like the SmackDown taping results. So you can call up the Wrestling Guys hotline, and Shawn has those for you on there. I want to thank Ray Steele for coming on. I'm serious too. I mean, I know Ray Steele, but at the same time,
you're lying.
Okay. The guy is very dead. I mean, the guy is always, generally like one of the first people there, one of the last people to leave. I mean, is always, coming in and saying, yeah, it just worked out, and the guy has been, not in wrestling for all that long. Maybe, like you said, less than 2 years, and to have this happen,
phenomenal.
The guy is very dedicated to that, and you can just tell that.
You want to know?
Go ahead. I mean, he has the look. I mean, he has the knowledge now. I think he's going to make it. Of course, we've been saying that for quite some time.
Sitting here wondering about some quote-unquote like local guys or whatever.
Yeah.
Where's Al Snow at? I haven't seen Al around lately.
Al's doing tough enough, though.
That's right.
Yeah, Al's doing tough enough. That's why I haven't seen him.
And Lita.
Yeah, and they bring Taz in just to do the commentary still. And no, not Lita, Jackie.
Jackie's
right. Doing Jackie, and that's why you haven't seen Jackie really around too, because they're all doing tough enough, which I'm not sure I'm gonna like. But I mean,
Jackie's been with the team with APA, who is very underused in my opinion.
Well, they are. They're starting to try to bring them up a little bit. We'll see. Anyway, let's go back to the phones. Because you know what? I can't listen to us talk anymore. Let's go.
You got some blood running out your ears.
Yeah, that's what it is. Line 2, Abby Normal. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. Rock on. I just have to say, what are they going to do with Trish Stratus?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I know what I would do with her.
Well, that's a whole different.
I know what I would do with her too. If I were Vince McMahon, I would put an apron on her and make her wait tables.
Or at least a genetic jackhammer.
Yeah, I don't know what do you do with Trish now? I mean, you build her up in this big storyline. You have her slap McMahon, and then she's gone.
Linda's personal assistant.
It's like
yes.
It's like the white Hummer all over again.
It is. It's like that and Stacy's Miss Hancock's baby. I'm not touching that. Abby, what else you got?
I was going to wonder, what are they going to do with Raven? Because, Monday, that was hilarious.
I don't know. I don't know what you do with Raven, though.
I don't either, because...
well, it looks like you
Destiny will decide.
What's that?
It looks like you can start something with Saturn, back in WCW.
I don't think Raven's one of the guys you send down in WCW, though.
I mean, if you watched WWF last week, you'd see like him and Saturn go at it all the time, and not like everybody else. That's weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I just have to say, Kurt Angle's God.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, Abby.
Yeah.
You ought to steal that as your sign-off.
Yeah.
I kind of like
guys. Yeah.
I kind of like bye. Oh, I like my bye still. Let's go to line 5. We've got Randy. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
How are you, Randy?
I'm pretty good. Just wanted to touch up a little on the subject of which wrestlers were loyal to their respective promotions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I had 3 names, and I might be wrong, but here they go. Dynamite Kid, Ted Arcadia, and Bobby Eaton. I don't think I've ever seen...
Don't say Bobby Eaton.
Well, Bobby Eaton was with WCW for years.
Yes, he was. But he did. But
He never went to WWF.
Well, he's there now.
I'm not even going to ask.
But he's there. I mean,
Apparently, I have missed something.
No, actually, WWF picked up Bobby Eaton to train down in Memphis, and that's one of the reasons that I think that Memphis isn't gone under yet. Is due to the fact that he's down there, and actually, from what I heard, the guy is a amazing trainer.
I bet he would be.
And probably he would be, because
not a lot of guys his size would have lasted and didn't last in the business long, because in the 80s there were a lot of guys Bobby Eaton's size.
Yeah.
And he rose to the top.
Yeah.
And it's just a testament to his work ethic and his devotion to the business.
And many of the people that we've had on the show that that Bobby Eaton's name has come up has said that is the best worker that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he never cut a promo.
No.
Ever. He just sat there.
Right.
He was the silent one.
He was a mime. Now, who was the first wrestler you mentioned, Randy?
Dynamite Kid.
The Dynamite Kid was with the WWF for a few years, but that's not where he made his reputation.
Right.
If you go out and look, fans clamor, really. I mean, they die to see his stuff with Tiger Mask over in Japan and some of the light heavyweights. But yeah, they had legendary matches mainly in Japan, is where he really built himself up.
Yeah, that's true.
Only after Japan did he come over to the WWF, because if you read his book and some of the online stories about him, you'll see a lot that started in right around like 1979, 1980, and 81, which was a few years before he hit the WWF.
Okay, now what about Ted Arcadia? I hope I'm pronouncing the name right.
Ted Arcadia.
He was a bodybuilder turned wrestler, and then just got out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think he was around all that long.
I don't even think he made it a year. Did he?
Yeah, he did. A couple of years.
I wouldn't think so. Do you care if I do a real quick plug?
What's it for?
Oh, OCW.
No, of course, Randy. Go ahead.
We got a show coming up on the 5th of May, John Bryant Community Center, and it's shaping up to be quite a card.
And of course, you'll be the official ref for that.
I'll be eating the hell beat out of me like usual.
The Spanish announce table of the OCW.
I still need Shawn's help. I got to learn how to go through those tables, though.
Shawn does it very easily.
Shawn's got a technique. He does. He's got it down, and he maintains that technique with a couple of extra donuts a day.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's
and
key.
Some extra change in his pocket.
Sean's going to have to be careful. He's got number 2 on the way, so you're going to have to be careful.
That's right.
That's right.
It's very
Thanks for
true.
your time, guys.
All right, thanks, Randy.
Bye-bye.
457-1065, Wrestling Guys.
My question is, I've done this show several times now.
Yeah.
Why does Randy never make food when I'm here? I've never had any of his food.
If you look at it, Cam is the skinniest of all of them.
That's right. I don't understand that. Maybe that's why.
And look at him. You can floss with him.
And when are you going to update the intro? Put my name on.
Do you know how long it took me to get my name up on the intro? Think about it. It took me a long time.
I've been here from the beginning. I'm not on the intro.
We've been talking about pecking order and building yourself up, so I'll bide my time.
I'm dedicated. Look who doesn't like the job now.
Bring me in from the bullpen. I'm cool. All right, next call. Just
hope that Shawn stays at home and keeps being a genetic jackhammer himself.
Yeah, that's when Shawn breastfeeds or something.
Then you'll be right on there. Let's go to line 2. We got Gravedigger. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh, well, thanks for calling.
Just got a quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
Those tapes they advertised, Best of Backyard Wrestling.
Yeah.
Have you seen them, and are they worth the money?
I haven't seen them, and my main reason for not seeing them is because I really don't want to see them. And I do. I mean, I have this, curiosity to watch, but the same way, it's, I think about it and I go, I don't want to give any money to that. And the reason I don't want to give any money to that is because, these are guys that are basically going out, they're not trained, they're not being dedicated, I mean, trust me, I'm the last guy that would actually, that would want to get into or actually go and do a wrestling match. Okay, I just wouldn't want to do it. And the reason is just due to the fact that I haven't been, trained to the point where I think that is, respecting of the business. And I don't think these guys are really respectful of the years that it takes and the dedication that it takes, to go out and do something. It's basically like these guys, said, the old, I'm showing my age here. Actually, this is a Les Thatcherism. It's like the old Andy Hardy films, in the 30s, with Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. Hey, my granddad has a barn. Let's get some costumes and we'll put on a show.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I know that CBS, Shawn had on the hotline, CBS was doing a piece about backyard wrestling.
Right.
There's just been too many people been hurt. I actually, the best thing I ever saw in backyard wrestling, and that was the most I ever had to watch, is MTV had a special on it, and it was actually very negative towards it. That's really as much as I wanted to see.
Now, I've actually guest refereed for backyard wrestling here in Dayton.
And, wow, you're going to admit that.
Well, I had to see what it was all about. And honestly, the only reason I went to that one is because all the participants were over 18 years old.
Okay.
So I don't really, if you're over 18 and you want to be a moron and do that, by all means, go ahead.
Don't hold back, Cam.
But at the same time, I think what happened in the business is you see these guys doing hardcore, and if you ask a wrestler what's one of the easiest matches they can do,
it's hardcore.
It's a hardcore. A cage match? Sure.
Yeah.
It's because you don't really have to worry about telling a story and building a match and getting crowd reaction, because as soon as you whack a guy with a trash can lid and it makes a loud sound, it's an instant pop. What they don't realize is these guys put a lot of effort into what they develop, even with the hardcore matches. And I didn't really see that firsthand until, New Jack worked one of the UCW shows.
Right.
And you see the time and effort he takes into working with the guy. But Eric Koulos,
yes,
the infamous ECW accident, untrained worker, sliced an artery in his head and nearly bled to death, and that is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life, bar none. And that's what happens. That's what these guys need to see. This is what can happen. So, the whole backyard wrestling thing, it's getting out of hand, really.
I am all for anyone having aspirations and going and going for their dreams and everything else. But I think there's a right way to do it. And when it comes to something, fine. If you want to do like the backyard stuff, that's fine. But don't call it wrestling then.
Right.
Call it I don't know, backyard fighting.
Backyard brawling.
Backyard brawling.
What's even more tragic is you see the effort that a guy like Ray Steele puts in, and some of the local guys, Logan Kane, Chris Hero, and those guys. You need to look at somebody like Balls Mahoney.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know he has a very solid amateur background.
Yes, he does.
For one reason or another, it never worked in his favor for pro wrestling, and now he's known as a hardcore guy.
Right.
And that some people do that to make the most of their careers, and then all of a sudden, it's like Willie said, you say, oh, I could take a cheese grater.
Yeah.
And then you're out there filming it in your backyard.
Right. I think I'd just rather spend my money and, get, there's Wrestling Gold DVDs coming out, and that, which has a whole bunch of classic matches on. I'd rather get that. Gravedigger, thanhanks for the call.
All right, man, thanks.
All right, tell you what, let's go over a couple things that, because we're running out of time.
Yes, we are.
2 hours just went like that once again. Just flows. It flows when you're here. Shawn's going to hate me now for that. Let's get into a couple things, of course. Big Daddy Raj Cox, I want to thank him for coming on. He announced May 19th at the Burkhart Center that UCW, bringing in some ECW people, Jack Victory and Francine, will be there on that show. So go ahead. You want to tell them what the hotline number is?
640-2794.
There you go. And Of course, I also want to thank Ray Steele for calling in, and check him out on Jacked this weekend as he takes on K-Quick, and also on SmackDown tomorrow as he's in an angle with Kurt Angle. Woo! Yeah, and he's got a lot of dates lined up for him too. So hopefully something will break for him, so we can actually say, hey, guy does well. Local guy does well. Hey, actually, he's not a local guy though. He's from Arizona.
Just want to let you know there's no change on the of the 2 Road Dogg eBays.
And we've had no more of the baby watch either.
Yeah, so apparently.
Of course, call the Wrestling Guys hotline at 285-0991. We'll give you full updates on everything that's going on in the world of wrestling. Everything.
Every little detail.
If it'll make you feel any better, maybe Willie will say your name on the Wrestling Guys hotline there, Kim.
No, I think Shawn will thank you tomorrow.
Yeah, Shawn will thank me tomorrow. Shawn's very good about thanking.
We thank you here.
Yeah.
Provided, there's no loss of a mucus plug between now and then, I'm sure. And I just had to get that out. The whole show I've been going, how can I work mucus plug in? Because that's pretty disgusting, but...
I thought you were a little off in your game.
The word of the day.
You were a little off in your game tonight, and it was that mucus plug getting in your way.
Absolutely.
Thank goodness the music comes on.
Note.
Yes. You have been listening to the Wrestling Guys. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you next week. We are the Wrestling Guys
on Buckeye Country 106.5.
Back.
Wrestling Guys.
Good evening. How are you? Welcome back to the Wrestling Guys. I am Shawn Stidham. He is Willie F. Joe's on the other side of the board. How are you doing?
I am Willie F.
You are Willie F.
I'm doing fine.
I have been around for a couple of weeks, so.
That's true, baby. Everyone's going to think now that you're going to have a big announcement.
There is no big announcement.
I know, but you don't yet.
I don't have a big announcement.
There's Baby Watch 2001.
Baby Watch 2001 is still ongoing. Here's the theory. 2 weeks ago, my wife goes to the doctor. I went with her. And they said, you know what, you're probably going to be back tonight. We think, this is going to be it.
Right.
And the appointment was on Wednesday. So, Cam Collins, thank you very much. He fills in. So, we wait. No baby. We're thinking, okay, the weekend's here. The doctor says, yeah, it's going to be any time. No baby.
I think I'm having a backlash.
So,
that's what I think. It'll be pay-per-view.
So last Wednesday, wife goes to the doctor, same thing, it's going to, any time now.
Right.
You're more dilated, it's ready.
Right.
No baby yet.
You know what? Actually,
2 weeks from the day that we were told we're going to have it that night, we're still waiting.
Since the last time I've seen you, you look more dilated too.
Thank you very much.
Just a little bit, though.
So the theory tonight is once I come up here to do the show,
yes,
then is when it
gotcha.
happens.
So yeah, that's actually a good play.
Yeah. So I maybe a good play.
To actually come out, no.
Or something. I was like,
no. To actually be involved in doing something first,
yes.
And then, of course, it will happen.
The baby's actually doing an imitation of Iron Sheik walking towards the ring of WrestleMania.
That's it.
Taking the sweet time, but a lot of news to get into. Let's go ahead and start. First of all, Jimmy Hart apparently has a meeting with Hulk Hogan and Universal representatives on May 1st, which could be the day we find out about them starting up a brand new national wrestling promotion.
And, of course, that would be at Universal Florida, right?
It would be based out of Universal Studios in Florida. Mm-hmm. I assume that it would probably be there for about the first month or so.
Right.
And then they would...
They can put it on Nickelodeon.
They could put it on Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon's right there, isn't it?
No, isn't Nickelodeon? No, Nickelodeon's Viacom.
I know, but Nickelodeon's right there.
They're not going to go to Nickelodeon.
They could.
Anyway... so that is a possibility. Also, a lot of talk today about maybe Scott Steiner making a move to the World Wrestling Federation. Apparently on his website, bootydaddy.com. I want that. If there's any domain name I'm sorry I didn't get before it was taken, bootydaddy.com would be it.
Oh, okay.
Booty Daddy. Booty Daddy.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Bootydaddy.com. Scott Steiner says in a message posted on the website, to all my freaks out there, Joe, he means you, all I can say right now is that things are in the works. I'm getting a lot of email from wrestling fans looking for news. The moment I know something that I'm allowed to say publicly, I will say it here. So
I think that's basically Scott Steiner just saying, hey, I'm really interested in going somewhere. Please, someone contact me.
I need a job.
Well, a lot of guys are being very open about what their plans are. Yeah. Shane Douglas and Conan were supposed to work XPW this past Saturday. They were told you can't because you have not accepted a buyout from AOL Time Warner, so that means you are not allowed to wrestle anywhere. Ric Flair said publicly last night on Dave Meltzer's radio show, 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have taken a buyout. But, at my age and everything, really, why do it? Why, there's no guarantee from the World Wrestling Federation. They're certainly not going to pay me the money I'm making for doing nothing. Kevin Nash has said publicly he's not going to do anything. Lex Luger was on a radio show yesterday in Atlanta. He said the same thing. He has another year left on his deal. The WWF is not offering any guaranteed money. They're really not offering him anything, any money. So, he basically is going to sit out a year as well.
We'll pay you $2 to come in and do the narcissist.
All you got to do is pose.
That's it. $2.
But you got to pay for your own mirror. We're not going to foot the bill for that. And the gas for the Lex Express.
Buff could hold the mirror.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess now, did you read this about what Balls Mahoney has been saying? Balls Mahoney of ECW, he's been actually saying that the WWF contacted him. Kevin Kelly actually contacted him and told him that they are not interested in him.
Now, what is that about? Kevin Kelly bored?
I guess, Kevin Kelly found an address book with everybody's phone number in it and started calling him up just to prank him.
Hey, just to let you know.
Yeah.
Let's look at Balls Mahoney for a second. First of all, the guy's banned in Maryland.
Yeah.
They almost had to cancel an indie show in, was it, not Maine? They had to be moved across the border to Rhode Island,
right?
From because of the Maryland ban. He has no full-time gig anymore since ECW has basically closed up shop. So he's struggling, going indie show. And here's Kevin Kelly sitting up in his office at the Titan Towers, sitting back, relaxed, and with the air conditioning on. He's got Shane McMahon, a couple of other guys, Michael Cole's there going, hey, let's screw with this guy.
Yeah.
Hi, Balls. Yeah, Kevin Kelly, WWF. Yeah, how you doing? No, we're not offering you a job. Sorry about that.
We just wanted, we heard that you were thinking about buying a new car. Sources close to us say probably not a good idea.
They have the magic 8 ball. So anyway, Balls Mahoney's not going to get a job anytime soon.
No.
China. All these lawsuits the World Wrestling Federation had, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
It seemed like every time you turn around there was another lawsuit. China is now getting sued by her former talent agency, Braverman Bloom. It was the former agency. Apparently, she owes them $250,000 and will not return any phone calls. Not a word. Anyway, apparently China was used them for consulting and a few other things. They claim they signed her autobiography deal, that they got her the role in Third Rock from the Sun, and basically anything she's done outside of wrestling, they claim they have helped her with, and they want paid.
Well, maybe she's going to basically say, well, she's not the same China that she used to be now.
Now, according to the article on Inside.com, China apparently is working on a television project called
Does it drive around?
I think that's what it is.
I think I've seen that on the Hot Network.
Actually, also heard rumors of China doing the new Wonder Woman flick.
Yeah. Yes. Joe, I'm going into that now. See, you just blew the whole news, Joe. Fine. Anyway.
So you say China's being sued?
Yes, China was sued. Now we're supposed to move into the Wonder Woman story, where apparently China is being considered for the role of Wonder Woman.
I scooped him.
Yeah, you
just scooped you.
Yeah. It's the first sign of Armageddon, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, Joe, passes up second helpings and then he scoops us. Anyway, sorry about that, Joe.
That's okay.
Anyway, so China is being considered for Wonder Woman. How's that, Joe?
Fine. I think she's perfect for it, though.
Take a look at the number of wrestlers that are being talked about for superhero movies. Obviously,
well, of course.
The popularity of X-Men really set all this in motion.
Yeah,
Everybody
absolutely.
now wants to make a superhero movie. But, Randy Savage and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Goldberg, Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Not as the Hulk,
but Randy Savage is good. That's like a 5-minute role. What he's got is pretty much an insignificant role.
But he has a credit.
Yeah.
He gets his SAG card.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Goldberg in the Incredible Hulk films, playing a bad guy.
Yep. And now you have China being considered for a Wonder Woman movie. Brand new NWA World Champion, Steve Corino.
I like Steve Corino.
Yes, I do. I like him too. He's how do you pronounce his last name? Mike Rapida?
Yes.
Is that Rapida?
Rapata. I think it's Rapata.
Rapata
yes,
defeated Mike Rapata last night in Tampa, Florida at the Fort Homer Hesterly Armory. Referee for the match was Bill Alfonso, refereeing his first match since 1995. So, good news there. The Associated Press is reporting that Douglas Harrington, a stepfather who let his stepson Andrew jump 18 feet onto a burning table during a backyard wrestling match, will be sentenced 4 to 6 weeks for his role in the stunt. Child endangerment is the charge.
Good.
Prosecutors showed a video that proved Harrington knew about the actions of his 16-year-old stepson. He did nothing to prevent it. Andrew, again 16, suffered burns over 20% of his body when his clothes caught on fire after he went through the table.
Good. So, I think that's absolutely the right thing.
Well, not good that he went through the table. Good for the
yes. Good for the father.
One hope I have is if this guy's getting nailed for this, hopefully the idiot that put together those videos they're selling gets nailed also.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the guys, and there's a lot of people, and I think we're going to touch on this tonight too, a lot of people that are right now saying that Mick Foley maybe is to blame for some of this, for more or less desensitizing wrestling fans, because he was able to take so much punishment and he did so much stuff. And maybe that's why, kids are trying to emulate him so much or emulate that style of wrestling. I don't know if he's had much to do with it as this guy that's putting out these videos.
I go back to the same thing, though. That's like saying, Superman is, that DC Comics is to blame for people trying to put a cape on the back and fly off the roof.
Right.
I just disagree with all that.
But you take a look at these backyard wrestling tapes, and Rick Riley from Sports Illustrated did a great column. And if you go to Sports Illustrated's website, you can pull it up in the archives. But it was probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Did a column, and this guy's basically paying these kids nothing. I mean, this guy has sold hundreds of thousands of these tapes. Yeah. He is making millions. And, paying these kids who are, breaking their legs, breaking their backs, breaking their heads, maybe paying them $20. It's just insane. And it's hopefully something is done about that. Don Callis.
How much do you think they pay the Girls Gone Wild videos?
I was just thinking about that.
I knew you were. You and I think alike sometimes. That's pretty scary.
Six-pack.
Okay.
Girls, and more girls.
Backyard Girls Gone Wild Wrestling.
And,
no way, that's a new thing for
us. Gone Wild.
I'm copywriting that when I get out of here.
You could see, and maybe not me because I'm going to have 2 daughters here soon, but maybe we should get a shot of the dad sitting there in the chair, was sitting back watching TV, and all of a sudden the commercial comes on, and there's his little angel popping up and showing her womanly charms to the world.
Glory, yeah.
Saturday Night Live did a skit of that.
Did they?
They did actually.
Did they?
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. Even better is if Dad bought the video.
Yes.
Dad buys the video and pops it in, and oh, jeez. Anyway, wasn't that a Lifetime movie? Like the dad ordered a prostitute, and it was his daughter. I've been too much. Stu Hart. Stu Hart.
Television for women, huh?
Yeah,
he's been home. He's been home too much.
Joe. I have a pregnant wife who goes postal right now. She can watch anything she wants as long as I can breathe, okay?
It's Lifetime pickles and ice cream.
I was going to say you've been home a lot, but at the same time, there are a lot of other choices than Lifetime.
No. My wife is all about, right now, cereal and Golden Girls, and that's about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's sad.
Well, now, wait a minute. If it's cereal and Golden Girls, would that be like Fiber One?
Yeah, exactly. It's all brand stuff. A lot of wheat.
I was going to say shredded wheat.
Yeah.
So anyway, China's going to be in Wonder Woman.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. By the way, Joe is working on that 7-second delay tonight.
Thank you, Joe.
Stu Hart is out of the hospital. He's going to turn 86 in a few weeks, but it had problems recently with pneumonia and some other ailments of his heart. He's apparently going to be hooked up to an oxygen machine to make sure he has enough air, to breathe, because after all, breathing is very important.
And he'll probably still go down to the dungeon.
Yeah, probably.
We'll probably have to take the oxygen tank down to the dungeon.
Speaking of things in Canada, the Winnipeg Sun columnist Don Callis, you know him as Jackal, also you know him as The Network from ECW. He basically wrote in his column this past week that A, Lance Storm is working on a wrestling book, and B, Rick Titan, who was the former fake Razor Ramon. Or did I say Rick Titan? Yes. Yes, known as Big Titan also. He is retired from wrestling because of a neck injury.
Yeah, he almost broke his neck, didn't he?
Yeah, he broke his neck actually in New Japan. He's fine. He's, has limited mobility. He can't wrestle any longer. Another guy who had limited mobility was Johnny Valentine, who passed away yesterday at the age of 73. Johnny Valentine's career came to an end in 1975 when he was involved in the plane crash that also Ric Flair and David Crockett was in as well. Johnny passed away yesterday. Johnny was the father of Greg the Hammer Valentine. One of the many wrestlers who paid tribute to him yesterday will be on the program tonight, Les Thatcher, who spent many a card with Johnny Valentine. Has some great stories.
Some that we can't say.
Some we cannot say. But we may, who knows?
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, so we're going to talk to Les Thatcher a little bit later on. about Johnny Valentine. One other thing before we go to a break, SmackDown tomorrow night, quick preview of what you will see includes... these are the wrong ones. I got to get the right ones.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, yes.
Yeah, those are the wrong ones. But,
the wrong ones.
One of the things that you won't see on SmackDown tomorrow, we can talk about that, is that, let's talk about Raw on Monday.
Let's take a break first.
Oh, all right.
Because we have to pay some bills.
All right.
And then we'll come back. We'll talk about that. Your phone calls at 457-1065. We are the Wrestling Guys.
On Buckeye Country 106.5.
Okay, Joe, what's rule number 1? You do not play the K-Quick music on the Wrestling Guys.
Just get it out the way.
Okay. He's getting it out of the way early. That's good.
That's very good. Welcome back to the Wrestling Guys at Buckeye Country 106.5. Shawn Stidham, Willie F. Joe across the board. Don't forget the Wrestling Guys hotline, 285-0991, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Brought to you by Grips and Tips in West Carrollton. You were talking about Raw.
Well, I was talking about what you didn't see on Raw.
Well, let's talk about it.
Okay.
We had a talk show. Yeah, we talk about things,
okay.
William.
Okay. One of these days I'll finally get this format down. On Raw, I guess. Actually, the dark match for Raw. Ray Steele, who we had on as guest last week, wrestled Bob Holly and got very good response. I guess Bob Holly was very pleased. And now on Tuesday they had dark matches, and he wrestled Jerry Lynn. That is said to be the best match of the dark matches.
And, of course, Race last week was profiled on Jacked. He wrestled K-Quick. That's why you played the music, right?
Yes.
The segue, okay. You're forgiven. But Race... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Race is also scheduled to be at the pay-per-view in Chicago.
Yep.
And the Raw after that, and also then
the SmackDown after that,
and the SmackDown after that, and then the Raw the next week after that, and the SmackDown after that.
Yeah, at least for the next couple of weeks.
He is doing very well and getting very good marks, and I'm telling you right now, the guy is going to make it. I know you and I talked on the phone earlier.
Yep.
I have never seen anyone dedicated in anything as much as I've seen Ray Steele dedicated to pro wrestling.
No, I met Ray's probably for the first time, year and a half, 2 years ago.
Very intense guy when you first meet him.
Yes, and he is a guy who the only thing that is on his mind is making it in this business.
Yeah.
He does not care what he has to do.
Yeah.
And it's not just the in-ring performance he's concerned about.
Right.
It's everything else. I've seen him go to the gym 3-4 hours early just to test ropes and make sure the ropes were just right and learn the ring and everything. So he's a great individual, and we wish him nothing but the best, and certainly he's on his way to getting that. Let's go to the phones. 457-1065 is the phone number, and first we'll go to line 1 and talk to Chris. Welcome to the Wrestling Guys at Buckeye Country 106.5.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Yep.
I just want to know what happened to Tori.
Tori is working on the MTV series, and it just escaped me what the name of it is. Hello.
Tough Enough.
Thank you very much.
June the 9th, isn't it? Isn't that when it premieres? I believe it's...
she's working on that with Al Snow, Taz, Tori, and... hello. There's one other person. It'll come to me a little bit later, but they're all working on the show together.
And I have one more question. This is the thing that kind of pissed me off about the whole Stone Cold issue. How come they just didn't turn Triple H into a face? I think he's the only person that can match Stone Cold's level. I mean, the Undertaker and them, they're going to wear out here sooner or later. Like you guys, because like I heard that, the Stone Cold thing is going to be for a while. I think Triple H is the only person that can give Stone Cold a good fight when it comes down to the wire.
It's very possible that they will turn Triple H at some point. What you have to understand, though, is they basically had to keep Triple H as a heel so that they could put Stone Cold Steve over as a heel.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
No problem, Chris. Appreciate the phone call. Let's go to line 2. And Daryl, you're on the Wrestling Guys.
What's up?
How are you?
Well, first of all, let me just say, it's nice to listen to the show again because due to work and school, I have not been able to listen to this show in months, probably since last year.
You can tape it.
Yeah. They have some new things that you can do.
I know people who have their moms go in and tape the show. They bought like 3 radios because they can't buy a cassette tape 2 hours long. And their mom goes in, every half hour, every 45 minutes, whatever, and starts the tape.
Well,
you can do that.
Here in Xenia, we don't have them kind of luxury.
Like electricity, yeah, I'm aware.
But I guess basically the thing I had to say is, what's going on with WCW and when will the company finally make its return? Because I've been hearing I've seen a lot of internet reports. People saying that the WWF might not even open.
Yep, you've heard the same things that we have. The latest is that WWF may not even start up WCW, and they'll just do an invasion angle. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a better idea to. I think what the WWF is doing is basically trying to hold out for the best possible time slot that they can get.
The one thing, too, and is TNN, like Willie said, TNN is not going to give the WWF a prime time slot. They don't want to be known as, quote-unquote, the wrestling network. They want to have a very diversified lineup of different shows. So the best time they've offered the WWF, according to people we've talked to, is Saturday nights at 11 o'clock, which obviously, with the demographic you're really targeting with wrestling, that demographic is doing a lot of other things other than watching wrestling Saturday nights at 11 o'clock, hopefully. Anyway, so the WWF, like Willie said, is going to hold out. Now, one guy called in our hotline, and I was going to pass this along later, but I'll do it now. Pat from Bellbrook called in, and I kind of like this idea. He thinks we should all call that POP phone number, 1-888-POP-1090, and tell them to put WCW on. And also that he wants you to say you hate the pop commercials. It's probably not a good idea since we're trying to...
No, if you want to get on.
But
you have to pepper it with, like, I love Dukes of Hazzard and put WCW on, and that's the only way, that's the way you get on those.
Yeah, tell him you missed Shotgun Red, too. But anyway...
Yes, I missed Shotgun Red.
You missed Shotgun Red. But anyway, WCW right now maybe only coming back as the storyline. Some people say the World Wrestling Federation has bit off more than they can chew. They're not ready to have two separate organizations because really they don't want to increase the staff. They don't want to duplicate their staff. They want a lot of people to do this.
Right now they can't even write storylines for one. So how are they going to write storylines for two?
So who knows? We'll see relatively soon. My guess is that if you see some WCW guys popping up this Sunday, they're probably going to go the storyline route. And one other thing too, they have pushed back the start date 3 times already, and now there's not even a start date listed, so that doesn't bode well as far as WCW being a separate organization.
Do you think there's a possibility it might not? Because, man, I would hate to see WCW. I mean, I actually miss WCW now. I mean, man, I hope it comes back.
There is a possibility that it will not start up again, and then we'll just do a storyline with it. You have to understand that the investment that the WWF made is still going to work out for them because they have tons and tons and tons of videotapes to go through from WCW. All the old WCW footage is now in the hands of one Vince McMahon.
And the thing is, with that footage, he can then, that's one step closer to opening up that wrestling channel, that wrestling network. And with the WWF footage and the old WCW and NWA stuff, Vince doesn't have to spend any money for that to run WCW footage. He owns it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost any money. Maybe put some new graphics on it. That's it. So, he can make millions of dollars with WCW and never run a show.
You think he could sell it, or?
He won't sell it. Why?
Yeah, no.
Why would you? Because
why would you sell your competition?
Right. The one hope. I mean, let's look at everything. Hulk Hogan and Universal are talking right now. There's also talk Jerry Jarrett could start a national promotion. Dusty Rhodes is saying that he's going to run a pay-per-view later this year with Turnbuckle. Eric Bischoff joined Matt Rats. So there's a lot of different things out there where, people are, this person's going to start up a promotion, this person's working on this person's working on that. I don't see anybody being able to start up a national promotion. I don't see it.
Either.
They might start up for a while, but I don't see it. I don't see it working unless you get a major player, and there's very few major players right now that are available.
Well, thanks, guys.
No problem, Daryl. Appreciate the phone call. Let's go quickly to line 3. Talk to Bud Rowe. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
It is I once again. What's going on?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Well, as of late...
Whoa, Joe. Whoa. Joe, what's wrong?
Oh, it's time for a break.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, Bud Rowe, appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. We're going to a commercial break. You are listening to the Wrestling Guys
on Buckeye Country 106.5.
Back to Buckeye Country 106.5. We are the Wrestling Guys. Shawn Stidham, Willie F. Joe is here also. And we were just talking about what we watch now on Mondays at 8 o'clock since Nitro's no longer here.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye. I think, Joe, we're in agreement. Weakest link?
I think so.
Willie, weakest link?
Yep.
Is that the official program now we watch? Did you I know you didn't see it this past Monday.
I think it's only official because of the lack of options.
Yeah, there's really not much else. Alan McBeal or whatever. I don't even know whatever else is on. But did you catch the girl at the end? The Monica Lewinsky wannabe? I always want to be the best at everything, and I wasn't. Idiot.
You notice when they do that quote-unquote walk of shame, they always walk off, and they always give that Jerry Springer attitude. They hold the hand up, and like, whatever.
Yeah,
it's like, just get off the stage. No one cares.
Anyway, 457-1065, the phone number. Let's go back to the phone lines, and we will go first to line 3 and talk to Andy. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
I just got 3 things real quick.
Just 3. All right, just 3.
First of all, I got to plug the website, pinfalls.com.
All right.
And Shawn, I got a good idea. You should have your wife hold the baby in for 2 weeks from tonight, and then she can have it on my birthday.
Dude, you know what? If that happens, I'm never coming back. I'll be dead by then.
How do you actually hold a baby in?
I don't know. My wife doesn't know either, and she's doing it, and she's real ticked off about that. So anyway, and what else, Andy?
Is WOW going to come back, or is that officially out of business?
Actually, WOW's been talking with Vince Russo.
Yeah. WOW basically ran a season finale a few weeks back, and they said, well, number one, we're no longer paying for TV time. It's too expensive. Their pay-per-view got, 6,000 buys?
Something like that.
Out of the entire nation.
Yeah.
6,000 buys on a pay-per-view. That was horrible. And so the future is really in doubt, but apparently David McClain has been on this show, is talking with Vince Russo. And, of course, Vince Russo's always loved doing storylines with voluptuous women, to say the least. And so, who knows? Maybe Vince Russo comes back. I don't know if Russo's name is enough to convince radio stations or television stations to let the program air for free, but we'll see.
Because I remember they just kind of went off the air just right away, and then it was just reruns after that.
Yeah, so I don't know if they really have a future or not, but we shall see. Thanks, Andy.
All right.
Appreciate the call. Let's go to, is that line 4? Line 4, Undertaker Guy. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
It's true. It's true.
What's true?
Joe is great.
Woo! Woo! Now you love Joe?
I just have
Undertaker Guy loves Joe now. That's your fan, Joe.
Yeah, my question is this, okay. Did Kurt Angle get hurt accidentally in that match Monday night? Thursday night.
Haven't heard anything, no.
Because they stopped the match awful fast, and, it looked like they was outside it. You look like you got hurt accidentally.
He might have taken a shot or something, but if it wasn't anything of any consequence. He pretty much shook it off if it was anything.
Okay, in the main event Sunday at Backlash,
yeah,
is there a chance that it's going to be a double disqualification? Neither team wins.
Now, I would be shocked if Undertaker and Kane walk out of there with the belts.
Yeah.
I think everything is gearing up to, Triple H and Stone Cold basically dominating the entire company.
I don't know if they go over too good. Oh, yeah.
Either.
And you know what? I'll be surprised if at Backlash, Undertaker has a really good promo.
Okay, and one more comment before I'm done. To all the fans of the Spanish Fly, you're jealous of me, and you always has been and will be. Woo!
Okay, thank you very much. Now, keep in mind this. Spanish Fly has not called the show in probably, 3 months, 4 months?
No, he called
2 weeks ago.
Did he call 2 weeks ago? I missed it.
Yes, you did.
Jeez, anyway.
Well, you had Baby Watch.
I Baby Watch 2001 still going. By the way, pager's not went off yet, or cell phone, and so,
everything's good.
Everything's good so far. But yeah, the pay-per-view this Sunday. Actually, I'm looking very forward to the submission match. I think that could be excellent.
That is probably the only match that I'm looking forward to. I don't know. The Dudleys versus the X Faction, that might actually be.
By the way, who in the hell did X Faction's music? It's like Blessed Union of Souls Light or something like that. I'm like, okay, this is nice. Not really wrestling style music, but that's fine. Undertaker, Kane, Austin, Triple H this Sunday. It does not look good.
No, it doesn't look good at all. I'm sorry. You know what? The Undertaker, it's time to go.
But you know what? For all of us so-called experts, and we talk about it and everything else, Undertaker and Kane got a huge pop.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I can never figure it out. It's another one of those. It's another one of those, Hulk Hogan things, that everyone seems to be in the business. They hate Hulk Hogan,
right?
But everybody else loves him, and it's the same thing with Undertaker. I mean, I don't mind Kane. Undertaker, I'm sorry, he talked for like 10 minutes, and immediately you and I were on the phone, and we were wishing, and actually, Cam was on the phone too, and he was wishing for a blackout.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree with him more.
I think one of the lines was WCW really this bad? I mean,
no, yeah.
It's true. One of the problems people are saying with the World Wrestling Federation right now is there's a glass ceiling.
Yes.
That you have 4 top guys, and nobody else is able to break through, and everybody's being pushed down.
Yeah,
guys like Benoit and Angle and the Hardy Boys and everything else, that they're not getting their opportunity, which was a major complaint in World Championship Wrestling.
Yes.
But is that as much a problem as we say it is, or do the fans really care? Are they just happy to see these four guys go at it? And Denver Monday night, they looked very happy. They were fine with it.
But I don't know that. And the whole thing, it's just getting to be kind of ridiculous. When Mick Foley can just come out. I mean, he's got like 1,000 stacks of paper that he signed.
Yeah.
And come out. Oh, and I get to make the main event anytime that I want to.
Yep. So there's other and better ways to use Mick. That was very weak this past week. One other thing too, but you look at Stone Cold. I still am under the impression there was no need to turn Austin heel. I do not agree with the Austin heel turn. I think it was bad timing. I very much think that if Michaels didn't screw up the week prior, I don't know if they would have done the heel turn.
Yeah.
And I still agree with the fact that if McMahon didn't own WCW and if McMahon had any competition, he would not have done the heel turn.
I agree.
It does not make sense. And Austin is not as good a heel now as he was the first time around when he was feuding with Bret Hart.
Really, you don't think so? I don't think he's doing that bad of a job.
No. Well, the thing is, the original Austin heel was pretty much the way Austin was all around.
Yeah.
DTA, don't trust anybody, don't need any help, get out of my way, pink and black tights, Brett, that whole attitude. Now he's buddying with Triple H, he's with the McMahons, he needs help, he needs to have, all the assistance in the world.
They're scared about going up against The Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah, does not fit in, and the knee braces I'm not a fan of anyway. Line 5? Let's go line 5. Woodchuck, you're on the Wrestling Guys. How are you?
Hey, guys. Uncle Cracker does X Factor's music.
Oh, okay. Uncle Cracker.
Whatever it is, it sucks.
And I got two themes.
Yeah.
First off, Rose Paul Roma.
Paul Roma, good question. Have no idea.
I just play him in Indies and real.
I haven't seen his name anywhere. I don't know if he's on the Indies or not, because typically you'll see, I probably see like 10 different indie reports a day.
Yeah.
And his name is one that just does not show up anywhere.
Okay. And my second scene is, if anybody wants that Giant Chapel, talk about Metallica or wrestling, they can email me at ScottishMafia69@hotmail.com.
Okay, Woodchuck, appreciate the phone call. Quickly, let's go to line 6 and talk to Kid Chuck. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
Welcome back, Shawn.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I want to give you this information since you already got the Uncle Cracker information. Jacqueline's the other person working on the Tough Enough show.
Thank you very much. I knew there was Tori and one other woman. I can't remember who that was. But,
okay, with the main event on Raw, is that going to lead up to another Edge and Christian Hardy's match at Backlash?
I don't know. I don't think so. And part of that's because what happens tomorrow on SmackDown that we really can't talk about. But I really don't think that's going to be a match this Sunday at Backlash.
Thank God. We've seen it too many times.
Yeah,
I like
really.
both teams, but...
Yeah, you can only do too many ladder matches. As good as they are, you need to space them out a little more than that.
And I want one more thing. Now, when they're showing those TV commercials for the Backyard Wrestling tape, they're throwing a disclaimer at the beginning that no wrestlers were injured in the filming of these tapes.
Bull crap.
Now, who the hell believes that?
Bull crap.
Exactly. No one believes that that's watching. I don't know how they can get away with putting that up there.
There is no way. There is absolutely no way that is true.
As a matter of fact, I saw the first tape, and there actually is a situation.
True. Technically, no wrestlers were hurt.
Technically, that is true.
On the tape.
A bunch of teenage kids were hurt, but no wrestlers were hurt.
There was a story that Rick Riley put in that column, and I wish I had the column here because I'm going to mess up part of it, no surprise. But about one of the kids who had, he was like 20, not really a kid, like 21 years old, but he was having memory problems from taking so many shots to the head. He had broken various bones in his body, and they basically asked him, what do you think about what you're doing to your body? How are you going to, 40, 45, how are you going to be able to move around and think and everything else? He goes, I'll be rich and famous. I can afford any type of surgery I need.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, that's sick. I'm sorry. There's a difference between two kids going out in the backyard and pretending to be wrestlers and not actually going through the moves or anything else. There's a difference. It's like playing Batman and Robin or playing football in the backyard. But when you have the stuff, when you have kids actually doing suplexes or hurricanranas or diving off, roofs into fire tables or whatever, that's insane.
But, I used to say that same thing, though, too. But now, I just say, well, I can afford a steak to go around, go along with the Ponderosa buffet.
Well, especially now because they give away the steak free now.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
So that's what I said. That's right.
That was all, guys. Thanks.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I know we have a lot of younger people that listen to the show.
Yes.
And I know there are some out there that have their backyard federations, and I don't mean to spoil your fun.
Take up a video game.
Yeah, go out, buy a PlayStation 2, buy a Nintendo if you have to, whatever, and buy a game or do something, because these things do not end well.
No, they don't.
They never do. And I know Mick Foley made it big.
But even Mick Foley's the first person, that will step up and denounce the entire backyard wrestling thing. So
Exactly. And really, even though Mick Foley made it big with it, look how many wrestlers throughout time you've seen careers come and go, and Mick is the only one who did make it big through this.
But let's take a look at Mick Foley's career, and let's take a look at Shawn Michaels' career. Mick Foley is 34.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels is 36.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And these guys are retired because their bodies can't take it anymore. Guys like Ric Flair, who's 50, Harley Race wrestled up till he was in his 50s.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan's 48.
Well, but then again, Hulk Hogan never wrestled.
God.
Sorry. But go ahead.
But my point is, careers are getting shorter now because of the extreme nature of the sport. And, and it's tough to say. A lot of these guys aren't making any money. Maybe $20 on, if they're lucky, on an indie show, locally or something like that. And get your training, do it properly, go to a school, do something. Don't depend on, if I take this pool and I put a bunch of thumbtacks in it and I put it under the awning of the house and then I set it on fire and, I wrap myself in barbed wire and I dive off and jump into that and I fill it up with lighter fluid, I'll be in the WWF. No, you won't. You'll be dead.
But at the same time, and it goes with this, and it's also with those kids that are, emulating the stuff that they see on Jackass. Yeah. Okay? It's the same thing. You know what? This is what I call natural selection. This is actually, go ahead. You know what? My feeling is, if you're that stupid to go out and do that, you know what? Then that is just the food chain itself working its way the proper way.
The comments of Willie F. no longer reflect the station.
No, but I agree with you if you are of a certain age. If you're 13, 14, and let's face it, we're all around our...
Well, granted, you should have some, parents, there actually might be some parenting going on during that time.
I mean, Joe and I aren't in our 30s yet like other people in the room, but anyway, I'm sorry.
I'm 30, I'm sorry.
Are you? I'm sorry, Joe. Well, I'm not in my 30s yet, but still... Willie's dead.
Even in height, you're not in your 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, well, at least you don't need a stool to reach the kitchen sink.
Yeah, fair enough. But, I mean, we all did idiotic things when we were 12, 13, 14,
I never thought about jumping off the house or lighting myself on fire.
But when you see these videotapes on TV, when you see the advertising, and you see, oh, wow, I could get on that videotape. All I have to do is do this.
Right.
And it screws up with these kids' minds. And that's what I'm saying. The stepfather got arrested. He's going to spend some time in the hole. Hopefully, the guy who's doing these videotapes, the same thing will happen to him because he is as responsible, if not more so, than anything that you want to blame Mick Foley or anybody else for.
I say let him go at it.
So what you're saying is these kids have a better chance of getting on the Best of Spring Break video.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go down, show whatever you want to show, and get on that video if you want success that way. You're not going to get into wrestling. 457-1065. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Les Thatcher. We remember Johnny Valentine. You're listening to The Wrestling Guys
on Buckeye Country 106.5.
Chica, ¿tú quieres probar a un latino más?
Back here on The Wrestling Guys at Buckeye Country 106.5. Shawn Stidham and Willie F. You're liking the music, William.
I just think it's really funny that we have Latino heat and we're going to have Les Thatcher on. I mean,
because if anybody personifies,
he's going to be so proud to come on after having Latino heat.
What is this? Okay, Joe, stop. There will be a curse of the Wrestling Guy producer if you don't watch out here. Anyway, let's go ahead and welcome Les Thatcher. Les, how are you? Les?
Yes?
How are you?
I'm good, Shawn. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
One of the reasons we wanted to have you on tonight, a number of them, but first of all, of course, yesterday, legendary wrestler Johnny Valentine passed away. I know you spent a lot of time with him. What are some of your best memories of Johnny? The ones you can tell on the air.
The ones I can tell on the air. All right. Willie's been whispering in your ear, right?
Yeah, I heard the hotel story with the sheets and the air and everything else.
Yeah, we won't try to tell that one.
We have various stories on this program where we say, if you see us in person, ask us about it and we'll tell you. We can't tell it on the radio, so if you see myself or Willie or Les, ask us in person, we'll tell you the story. We just can't do it here.
Yeah, that story would be about the Holland Hotel in New York City years ago.
There you go.
Shawn, last night I was fortunate enough to be asked to be with Dave Belzer and Ric Flair and Red Bastien and Larry Manasek, who was one of the bookers and promoters in St. Louis in its heyday. And we all, said you've got to have a lot of respect for Johnny Valentine. Lou Thez says in Hooker, Johnny Valentine was tough. If Lou said he was tough, by gosh, he was tough. Of course, I bought tickets to see Johnny Valentine. He was one of the great stars of the 50s and on into the 60s and 70s as well, up until the time of the plane crash, the infamous plane crash in Charlotte, where Ric Flair was in and Mr. Wrestling and so forth. But my first actual match with Johnny Valentine was right here in Cincinnati on Channel 9.
Really?
Yes, and that was in 1962, I believe. And I was just a young jobber at the time, and we went out there and had, I don't know, a 4 or 5 minute match, maybe the 6 at the outside. And I was back in the dressing room, and the booker came in. And he said, "Hey, kid, good job out there tonight." I said, "What did I do to upset him?" "What do you mean?" I said, "He just beat the hell out of me." "Oh, no," he said, "that's just the way he works." And it was just the way he worked.
I'm looking over his championship history, and he certainly won a number of different regional titles, Mid-Atlantic, Florida title, U.S. TV title, AWA Tag Team Championship, so on and so on. And the names this guy worked with, starting in the 60s, or actually the 50s, when you look at guys like the Sheik and Wahoo McDaniel, and then moving on to Eddie Graham and the Fabulous Kangaroos and Bruno Sammartino,
Buddy Rogers,
Terry Funk, Buddy Rogers, Ric Flair. This guy was just so instrumental, and he was actually responsible for training Ric Flair.
Yeah, Johnny had a lot to do with it. Yeah, we were talking last night. Flair and Bastien totally agreed. This guy was about timing and psychology. He would put you in a hold and keep you in that hold and make you fight the style obviously would not work today, but he would make you fight to get out, and while he had you in there talking, he said, move your left leg, move your right arm. Just like that, but this was how he built a match. He didn't get warmed up till 20 minutes in. When he came into the Carolinas in the 70s, Carolinas predominantly a tag team territory, so people were used to seeing a lot of high spots, a lot of flying. Because obviously with tag teams, you know that you don't get as tired, you don't have to pace yourself as the same. So anyway, they had switched things over basically, or they were built everything around Valentine as the top heel. And I remember when he first came in, like I say, he doesn't get warmed up till 20 minutes in, and the fans in the Carolinas were not used to that. So you'd see some of the people, some of the regulars, the steady customers, getting up and leaving before the match was even over. But they re-educated those people, and a year later, he was selling out every building in the joint.
And, of course, his legacy continued with his son, Greg the Hammer Valentine. And Greg really emulated his dad quite a bit, not just in his wrestling style, but also his physical appearance.
Yeah, Johnny was more angular, taller and leaner. But, yeah, they resembled each other tremendously. In fact, when Greg first came to St. Louis, Larry Manasak was mentioning last night, the first time they announced him as Johnny's son, Johnny took exception. Hey, you can't be an old man in this business. So they changed it for a while. They were brothers. But, we were talking last night, Red and Rick and I, we were all in the Carolinas at the same time. And any time that Valentine and Wahoo McDaniel worked, the dressing rooms emptied. Because these two guys would chop each other to death. That's just the way it was. But, Johnny, now he wasn't dangerous in as much, like you see some of these kids that are, aren't polished, that he wouldn't drop you on your head giving you a suplex or anything like that. But he was snug. You knew he was there. A kidney punch or forearm to the chest or of course, the chops. Man, he laid him in and he expected you to do the same thing. You were talking about some of the Johnny Valentine story, one I told last night that happened right here in the state of Ohio. And I wasn't privy to it, but I've heard several of the old-timers tell this story more than once, so I'm assuming that it's true. If not...
Nowadays with the Internet, you can just assume it's true.
Well, these are the old-timers, not the Internet. These are old-time wrestlers. But since Johnny and Buddy Rogers are both deceased now, nobody can deny the story, and they're not going to chase me down. Anyway, what happened was both guys were pretty good ribbers, and so Valentine had a brand new tailor-made suit, and was whatever town they were wrestling at. At this point in time, the big office was in Reynoldsburg, up by Columbus. It was Al Half's territory, and it was one of the hottest in the country. And anyway, whatever town they were in, Valentine was on the main event, Rogers in the semifinal. And wow, so Johnny's prancing around, showing his new suit and blowing smoke and so forth. So anyway, while he's in the ring, Buddy takes a razor blade and cuts the threads in the seams of the jacket and the sleeves and the coat and the slacks. So when Valentine gets dressed after his shower, his brand new tailor-made suit starts coming apart in his hands. So, of course, Rogers at this point is no longer in the building, probably not even in the city. And, of course, Valentine figures he knows, but obviously Buddy, a good ribber in this business never admits to doing the rib. So anyway, a few months later, the opportunity presents itself right down here in Cincinnati, down at Music Hall. And the tables are turned. It's Rogers in the main event and Valentine in the semifinal. So Rogers anticipates something, so he tells one of the guys, you hang on to my bag and my clothes. Right? So he comes back from the match, and everything's copacetic. He's nothing. Nobody's messed with his luggage. Nobody's messed with his suit or anything. Oh, good. I'm going out and get my car and go to Columbus. So he goes out to get in his Cadillac, and it started everything, and it just wouldn't go anyplace. And the reason for that was it was up on 4 concrete blocks. And the rims and the tires were in Valentine's trunk on their way to Columbus.
Oh, jeez.
So he had to buy all new rims and tires. So these guys didn't play little ribs. I mean, these were expensive ribs.
And, of course, we're talking with Les Thatcher here at the Wrestling Guys at Buckeye Country 106.5. Les, Johnny's career, of course, came to an end in 1975 with the plane crash. It's amazing the impact that crash had on the sport. And, the names involved, Mr. Wrestling, Ric Flair, David Crockett was in that crash also.
Right, exactly. And Bob Bruggers, who never wrestled again, as did Johnny. That's something we were discussing last night,
Didn't the pilot die?
Yes.
The pilot did die.
He lived as a vegetable, basically, on a support system for a number of months. But yes, he finally passed away as well. Johnny used 2 cane crud type, the kind that they put the braces around the forearms.
Right.
I think right up until the time, just until he went to the hospital just a number of weeks ago. But if you talk to Johnny a year after that crash, 2 years after that crash, 3 years after that crash, it was never in his mind that he was finished. He always had planned to come back. He was not a quitter, and there was no way in the world you were going to tell him he was not going to wrestle again.
Were you amazed at Ric Flair? Because Ric Flair basically suffered the broken back. He was told by a number of doctors, your career's over. Were you surprised he came back and was able to go to the level of success he did?
Yes, I really was. There was no doubt that in any of our minds at that point in time in the Carolinas that he was destined to be great. And but yes, I remember vividly. Now, I wasn't in Wilmington that night for the matches. Bastine, we were talking. Red was down there. Had gone down by car, obviously with someone else. I had wrestled in another town that night because the Crockett territory in those days, they usually ran 2 towns a night anyway. The territory was so vast. But I remember getting a phone call like at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning and being told about the plane crash. And then found the hospital phone number and called just to check on the status of all the guys. And I was amazed when the lady at the reception, well, would you like to speak with Mr. Fleur? And I said, you mean he can talk to me? And yes, and so I did talk to Rick that morning, of course. And it was, it was amazing that he did come back. And like I say, Bob Bruggers never did. I don't know. David physically had repercussions from that for years after. Timmy Woods, for whatever reason, came out unscathed. I should say unscathed, without any major injuries. Of course, bruised up and battered quite a bit. And the whole thing I don't know if you know the story about that or not, but actually, they had rented this private plane in Charlotte to fly to Wilmington, which is out on the coast. And when they got to the airport, because of the size of all these wrestlers and the luggage, the pilot was afraid they couldn't get their altitude, and just because of the weight.
Right.
So they actually drained some of the gas off the tank.
Was that what caused crash?
Yes, they ran out of gas. They ran out of gas as they were making the approach to the airfield.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, just you're talking a margin of error here of maybe a mile or two.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Hey, let's talk a minute about you down at the HWA. You've got to be very happy with Ray Steele right now.
Oh no, not me. Ray too? Oh yeah, I'm. You know what? Yes, I'm extremely happy. I mean, like a proud father, I would suppose. Yeah, I was in Knoxville with him when he worked with Kay Quick down there, Nashville. Then we're going up. We're going to the pay-per-view in Chicago. Obviously, he's not going to work on that, but he's probably get another tape match on Monday in Milwaukee, and then back to Indy on Tuesday. Monday night, he wrestled Hardcore Holly. He got good reviews from the agents and the wrestlers, and Holly was very pleased. Last night he worked with Jerry Lynn, and I heard that was off the charts. I know I talked to him just a couple hours ago. He was excited about it. Lynn was pleased with it, and in fact, the agents and the talent development people told him that they thought it was so good they wanted to see him work with Lynn a couple more times.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you got to realize this is a guy who has only been wrestling, out in front of a crowd a little over a year. And they probably would not have looked at him. We started sending tapes to them 5 months ago, I guess it was, of him. And the thing that caught, and if you got independent kids listening out there, guys who think they want to go someplace, pay attention. Kevin Kelly saw his improvement with each tape over that 4 month period. And he told, of course, I knew they're usually don't look at guys, that don't have at least 2 years experience. And I told Race that, but I said, we're going to send the tapes anyway. And Kelly, of course, had reiterated that when he talked to Race. Well, we don't normally look at guys that haven't got 2 years experience or more. So anyway, over that 4 months, they not only saw his work improving, but they saw his physique improving. And so with a combination of both, Kevin said, well, there's been such a marked improvement over that 4 months that I think we should take a look at you. And, of course, he's found out a lot in just 4 appearances. You try to tell these kids before they get there the pressure, what they have to do. He comes back and talks to these guys, and he said, man, I understand it all right now. Because it is his pressure laden, obviously. And he's up for it. His work ethic is such. He comes in here sometimes, goes in our video room, shuts the door, and he'll sit in there and back a tape up and look at, break something down technically over and over and over and over again. And he goes out, does cardio. He's into this business, and that's what it takes to get there. And I believe that before this year is out, Ray Steele is going to have a contract with WWF.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. I know Willie made the comment. I have to agree. Is that I don't know if there's anybody as dedicated with anything as this guy is as far as making it in wrestling.
No, I agree, and I think I've got kids here who have been wrestling longer, who probably wish they were doing it. And when we came back from the Knoxville Nashville run on that first Wednesday night training session, I had a little meeting and pep talk and told the guys, I said, you need to talk to him and find out why he got there and what he's doing. And if you think you should be there and why is he, I said, then you don't know what it takes to get there. I mean, that's the thing, Shawn. There's a lot of kids come into this camp or any other camp with dreams. I had them too when I was a kid. But if to implement those dreams, you've got to dedicate yourself to this business. There's no way around it.
Big match for Race is coming up here locally May 11th. Grand Victoria Casino. He, being the HWA champion, takes on Chris Benoit. I know that you're excited about that show also.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, Race is excited to get the chance to work with Chris. And after Chris watching him work these past 2 Mondays, I think Chris is excited about working with him as well. Which is I think that's one of the neat things that Chris walked him down to the gorilla position on Monday, a week ago this past Monday, because he knew he was a little nervous. And was just very friendly with him, and knew he was one of my kids. Of course, Chris is a good friend, and kind of babysat him a little bit. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this match, and I think these shows at the Grand Vic. You've been down there, Shawn. Of course, Willie's been down there. I think you're still independent country. This will be up and back as well, and still has show it.
well because they're coming up with 1,200 people. I got a chance to meet Bert Westler for the first time. He's getting a lot of accolades and everyone. I can't get to see him up close. And again, the record being about them beforehand, doing autographs and pictures. And
I'm sure Chris will do the same thing. And of course, afterwards, you can go win some change on the boat. So
there you go. Well, you know, Big Show won $5,000 playing blackjack. I said, give me my check back.
Hey, by the way, I can't let you off the hook unless we talk about Pillman. Final date yet? Do we know?
Yes, we are. We have finally, thank God. Yes. The Mark Curtis Fantasy Camp will be Wednesday, August the 8th, here at our training center.
Okay.
And we're not sure who all the VMPN trainers will be as yet, but I think the price will be the same as last year. But this year it will include a reserved Pillman ticket for the next day.
Great.
And the Pillman will be the 9th of August. That is on a Thursday. And everything looks like we're going to Oak Hills High School. It is air-conditioned, which is one of the things Rigo asked me before he accepted to come back. And I said, Stephen, you obviously have never been in Cincinnati in August. If it's not air-conditioned, I won't even be there. So Oak Hills High School seats about 2,800. Really nice venue. And, they can check our website, hwaonline.com, pillmanshow.com. The tickets should be on sale, I think, within the month. I think we'll have probably the same price structures we had last year, 30 for ringside, 20 for general. And, of course, the main event is Benoit Regal 2, The Return, with a special VIP referee, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah, that is going to be big. I know, there was some concern. I know with the demise of, let's just call it demise of WCW and ECW, that maybe it would only be a WWF show. But I know you're getting some inquiries from other independent talent, NWA talent, and others also. Absolutely. Reckless Youth called me a couple weeks back. He wants to come back this year. J.R. Ryder from ECWA. Jim Kentner's promotion is going to be on the card. We have a gentleman by the name of Principal Richard Pound. That's his gimmick, as a stern disciplinarian principal, kind of like Willie. Not an S&M'er like Willie, but just a...
Hey, you said you'd never talk about that on the air.
Well, you know what? You were being so quiet, I just wanted to be sure you were there. I hadn't heard, but anyway.
Sean's been out for 2 weeks. I can't get the mic from him.
But this Richard Pound is one of the Stampede wrestlers. And actually, he was actually just getting his feet wet when Pillman broke in up there. And Benoit and I were talking about it. I said, we've never actually had somebody that's, wrestled the Stampede circuit currently. So he had asked if he sent me a tape. And he's a good, solid, technical, mat wrestler, not a high flyer or anything. So he's already committed to him. I talked to Shawn Walman X-Pac last week, and he had mentioned he was interested. He's never been to one before. So, we're slowly putting the show together. I think it'll be a great show again. I would assume we'll probably have, probably 15, 16 matches like we did last year. And, of course, photos with the stars. Not sure of all the commitments yet, but yes, there will be WCW wrestlers. There will be WWF wrestlers and a great lineup of independents as well. And, of course, some of the OVW and the HWA guys will be in attendance, too.
Sounds like a great time. Again, for information about that, or also the school, hwaonline.com, or the phone number is 513-771-1650. Les, thanks for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
Before we jump off, I want to remind your listeners that you guys are going to be giving away Grand Victoria tickets next week.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And also, we are right now in the early stages of planning the bus trip also to Pillman. So.
Oh, okay, good. And the thing we forgot about the main event, the Grand Vic, is Ray Steele's newly acquired manager, GQ Masters III, will be in his corner. And Benoit will be seconded by Jim Cornette.
Tennis racket and all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, you have a good one, and I'll see you soon.
All right, take care, Les. Les Thatcher from the Heartland Wrestling Association. Thank you very much for the time. Appreciate that. We have got to get to a break. When we come back, phone calls from you, 457-1065. We are the Wrestling Guys.
On Buckeye Country 106.5.
Back here at the Wrestling Guys, Buckeye Country 106.5. Sean Stidham along with Willie F. Joe across the board. Joe, I'm excited about this. It's back. It's the Big Money Birthday Guarantee.
Oh, it's a beautiful
Now, we can't win.
No, of course not.
We're here at the station. We can't do it. But you can, listening at home or in your car, wherever you're listening right now. Every weekday, Buckeye Country 106.5 will announce a birthday during the day. When you hear your birthday, be the 25th caller at 1-877-373-3666, and you could win big money, Joe.
I can?
Big money. Well, not you, but I mean, and how much money can they win?
A lot of money.
A lot of money. At least $5,000. Sometimes more. Could be. You don't know. Listen to Karen Kelly tomorrow morning for details on that here at Buckeye Country 106.5. Let's get back to the phones at 457-1065, and let's go to line 7. And Lonnie, you're on the Wrestling Guys.
Yes, I was wanting to ask some questions. That fantasy camp with that Pillman thing.
Yes.
How does that usually work? I mean, do you actually go down and get in the ring and things like that?
Yes. What happened, and last year was the first one, it's the Hildebrand Fantasy Camp. All the money goes to Mark Hildebrand, referee passed away last year, I should say. But last year we had Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Shane Douglas, Billy Kidman, Perry Saturn was there. I know I'm forgetting. Tom Pritchard was there also. Hugh Morris was in there. And what happens basically is you come down. There's at least 2 rings set up, and you spend a day with the guys. They go over basic holds, basic moves in the ring. There's a lunch. There's an opportunity to cut an interview with the wrestler of your choice. So it's just a very, very fun day. It's all for a good cause, and it's happening this year again, August the 8th.
That sounds like it's going to be a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolute blast. I was, fortunate enough to be a part of it last year, and there were people that came in from Oklahoma to be a part of that camp last year. And I would say, even though Les said you really can't say who the trainers are going to be, pretty much pencil in Benoit, Malenko, Guerrero, and Saturn. Those guys are pretty much a lock.
Yeah, I would say so.
And then outside of that will depend on who's available. But I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Ricky Steamboat involved this year, maybe Terry Taylor, guys like that coming in to work on it as well.
And then you also get to cut a promo at the very end of it with whoever you choose. I mean, you can choose anyone. Any one of those guys to cut a promo with. And I know Dave Penzer, I guess, did the promos last year.
Yeah, Penzer did the promos, and, if Billy Kidman's there, maybe he'll bring Tori Wilson, and you can do your promo with Tori or whatever. So, Oh, Joe likes that idea.
That's worth the money right there.
All right, Lonnie?
Hey, that'll be great. Thanks.
Thany you very much. Let's go to...
I got to ask you first. If you guys are in the ring, if you go down there and you're in the ring, who would you want to train you for that day?
I would want either Benoit or Malenko.
That's what I'm thinking.
From what I heard, and I just heard, Saturn is a very intense guy.
Yeah.
Being in the ring.
Them Army Rangers are like that,
Yeah. But that's just what I heard from a couple of the participants last year.
Yeah, Shane Douglas was very good last year.
Yes,
Benoit was great. Another guy who was very good was Hugh Morris, because Hugh is just a great guy anyway, great sense of humor, and that's how he was training guys. It was a lot of fun. Tom Pritchard was excellent also. So one of those guys would be great. But, if you're going to spend an afternoon, rubbing up with somebody, lead us fine. Let's go to line 8, and Don Kirby, you're on the Wrestling Guys.
Yeah, hello, guys.
Hey, Don.
I was just wondering, how much does it cost to get in that camp for a day?
Last year, I believe, was it $1,500?
I believe so.
I think it's $1,500. Luckily, there's enough time, if you need to save up your pennies, you can do so. But it's absolutely a fantastic, fantastic experience. I mean, to be able to get
one roof job for me.
Huh?
That's one roof job for me.
Yeah, well, it's really when you look at the price of that and you compare it to a lot of other fantasy camps, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I know. If you want to go like the Cincinnati Reds camp is $8,000 or $9,000.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's camp is like $15,000 at least. So this is an opportunity to kind of live out a fantasy. So it's a wonderful
That sounds
thing.
great. He goes to good causes and stuff. Because he does got about 4 or 5 kids, didn't he?
Hildebrand?
No, not Hildebrand, but...
Well, the camp is for Mark Hildebrand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other thing's
Brian Hildebrand, I should say. I keep saying Mark Hildebrand. Mark Curtis, Brian Hildebrand.
Yeah, I know who he was. Okay, that's all I had.
All right, thanks very much. And let's go to line 1. Christopher, you're on the Wrestling Guys at Buckeye Country 106.5.
How you guys doing?
Doing well. Good.
I just wanted, I heard rumors that The Rock was supposed to come back at SummerSlam. Was that true?
Yes.
And why they want to bring him back so early for?
Well, they want to bring him back as soon as possible. I mean, let's face it, he's one of their marquee guys.
Because there's no one else for Triple H and Austin to go up against right now.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately.
So Rock is busy through June or July with filming The Scorpion King. It depends whether or not. Probably if he's back in June, he might be available at King of the Ring. But SummerSlam is one of the marquee pay-per-views. You want a big matchup for that. Obviously, a Rock and Austin rematch would do huge. Depending if whether or not Austin's still a heel at that time. He will be.
I heard they want to keep Austin in heel all the way up to WrestleMania.
I don't think it's going to change anytime soon.
I have one more question. I know you guys have probably heard this like a billion times, but what's the deal with Kim Shamrock? Is he still fighting, or is he down, or is he just taking some time off?
He's still doing Ultimate Fighting involved in that organization. He has not appeared on, backstage at all. He has not appeared at any indie show, from what I heard.
He did an indie show.
Did he?
About a month or two ago, yeah.
Okay.
I heard he may come back to the WWF this summer, but I haven't heard anything to confirm that. Like Willie said, the last I heard, he was still...
That's another guy who I heard...
He trains a lot of guys, too, for Ultimate Fighting. He's busy with that.
I heard he wasn't that big of a fan of being involved in wrestling. So.
Well, Ken Shamrock's a guy, and maybe I'm in the minority.
He is a guy? Really? He's a guy?
Wow. Last time I checked.
Okay.
Ken Shamrock... I haven't checked. But I've heard from good authority. But Ken Shamrock's a guy, to me, that never really got over as big as I think the WWF thought he would.
Not at all.
I mean, I just don't know. Lack of interview skills was one thing, definitely. But, there's a number of guys like that just didn't make it.
Right.
So, anyway, appreciate the phone call, man.
Okay,
thank you very much. You're listening to the Wrestling Guys, Buckeye Country 106.5, Net 5. Okay, we can break. That's fine. Let's break. When we come back, we'll talk to Dustin.
You're not going to dance or anything now,
No. We have open phone lines at 457-1065. We are the Wrestling Guys.
On Buckeye Country 106.5.
I'm making my own rules.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Guys, Buckeye Country 106.5. Shawn Stidham, Willie F. Julia is not here. Joe is here. It's confusing sometimes.
It is.
You look across and the glass and stuff's a little dark.
How do I even?
You're actually very confused by that commercial that just played.
Which one?
And I want to ask you about it too. Is losing your hair as bad as losing your manhood? That's what it said.
Shawn can't confirm about Ken Shamrock being a man.
I just want to know. Is it?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Have you lost both? Is that the problem?
No. Well, no. I mean, I'm losing the hair. I mean, you tell me about the manhood. I don't know.
I don't know. You're the one who's checking into who's a man and not. That's not me.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Guys. We're in the 8 o'clock hour, so it does kind of go down a little bit, doesn't it? Anyway.
See, and there you go again.
I know. By the way, how about this for another lawsuit? AOL Time Warner is being sued for wrongful termination by 2 former employees. Now, employee number 1 might have a case.
Yes.
Roddy Piper, who is considering moving to Atlanta to work on the case. Apparently last week, Brad Siegel, Dinah Meyer, they were depositioned. But Piper is convinced that he was wrongfully terminated. Maybe he has a case, maybe not. The other guy who is suing for wrongful termination, Scott Hall.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
My question is, can somebody sue Scott Hall for wrongful employment?
That's like saying, if I get really drunk down in the Oregon District, can I sue them for them kicking me out?
I think you can. I absolutely. I wonder if they're Scott Hall's lawyer.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah,
I wonder if they're going to have an open bar in the court.
That's probably what it is.
Oh, he asked his lawyer, did you pass the bar? Yeah, graduated a few... No, on the way here.
On the way here.
Are we going to pass the bar? No, I mean, Scott Hall, look at how he keyed the limousine.
Yeah.
He felt up a grandmother.
Yes.
He, no-showed many times. He, had numerous injuries. Attitude-wise, the guy was just a mess. And in no way...
think he's got a
How
case.
many paychecks did he get without actually working? He's sitting at home, and he becomes a... Yeah, Robert. Yeah. He was making 1.5 million.
Yeah, I couldn't know everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
don't say that. Anyway, but Scott Hall suing for wrongful termination. And we will keep you up to speed on that, of course, at the Wrestling Guys hotline at 285-0991.
24 hours a day.
7 days a week.
Yes, rain or shine.
Yes.
This just dawned on me. We followed it the past 2 weeks. How was the latest on the Road Dogg eBay auction going?
Actually, everything got removed. Well,
really?
All the bids, they restarted the thing, and then I guess it was all thrown out.
Well, no, the second one was. The first one went through. The first one, I'm not
really?
sure what the final bidding was, but he made, it got up to like